Chapter 593. Su Yun was naturally unwilling to fall behind when the other party attacked so powerfully. In a battle between experts, one could not lose anything but momentum. Losing momentum was equivalent to losing the person. As the old saying goes, don't fight for the mantu, fight for the breath. A person lives for the breath, a tree lives for the skin. Su Yun did not panic or lose his head in the face of Miao Dao's wide-faced short saber that was slicing directly at his face. He quickly retreated a few steps to avoid the wind from Miao Dao's wide blade that swept across his face. Since this was a private room, space was limited. After Su Yun retreated, there was a wall. He suddenly turned around and jumped up to kick the wall, using the rebound force of the wall to turn around and hook Miao Dao's wrist. Miao Dao did not panic. With a flip of his wrist, the blade once again stabbed at Su Yun's hooked foot. Su Yun could only withdraw his strength, lift the tip of his foot horizontally, and tap the surface of the saber to avoid Miao Dao's sweeping strike. After dodging the saber, Su Yun did not hesitate. Just as Miao Dao was about to pull back his saber to defend himself, he turned around and punched his chest. This punch directly explained that not only did the spear technique have the back thrust, but the fist technique also had the back thrust. Su Yun's punch was indeed too tricky. It caught Miao Dao off guard and made him break out in a cold sweat. He did not expect that this guy would actually dare to turn around and punch his saber. Miao Dao had to admit that his opponent was the most maverick he had ever seen among the super experts. All kinds of moves that he could not figure out had completely worn away Miao Dao's momentum of 100% victory at the beginning. Of course, this was only the beginning. Miao Dao was not an impatient child. Of course, he would not be unable to maintain his composure because of a momentary shock. Sometimes, people treated the word composure as a joke. In fact, composure was definitely not a joke for people who practiced ancient martial arts. Composure was often the most important factor in determining the outcome of a protracted battle. Miao Dao first quickly retreated to avoid Su Yun's full-force blow while pondering how to quickly resolve the situation. However, Su Yun did not give him a chance to leave any flaws. However, just as the Miao Dao was hesitating, Su Yun attacked without any defense. Every move was aimed at a vital point. At this moment, Su Yun seemed to have no intention of defending himself at all. He was full of loopholes, and if the Miao Dao attacked any of his flaws, it could take his life. He had heard of Miao Dao attacks where the enemy suffered 800 casualties to kill 1,000, but he had never heard of one where the enemy suffered 1,000 casualties to kill 800. And now, Su Yun was one of them. Every move he made was aimed at the vital points of the Miao Dao, and the flaws he left behind for the Miao Dao were also fatal flaws. As long as the Miao Dao seized the opportunity to attack, it could easily kill Su Yun. If he defended a little, although he would be injured, he could protect himself. If this wasn't a tactic of sacrificing 1,000 to kill the enemy, then what was it? For a moment, the Miao Dao could not understand, but when he was about to attack Su Yun's weak point, he suddenly understood the reason. Su Yun dared to do this entirely because of the bet. Because Su Yun was his own wager. If the Miao Dao really took his life, where was he going to find such a capable helper with extraordinary strength to do things? In the moment of hesitation, Su Yun's fist was already in front of his face. The Miao Dao panicked and could only use the blade to block. Due to Su Yun's fist being too hard, the Miao Dao's palm went numb from the shock, and the broad-faced short blade in his hand almost fell to the ground. This thing could be said to be his Miao family's heirloom. If the person was there, the blade would be there. If the blade was knocked away, then there was no need to compete with the other party. He could just admit defeat and run. This was a matter of face. If he lost face, how could he survive in society? Thinking of this, the wide-faced short blade in Miao Dao's hand was tightly gripped by her. First, after standing firm, she raised her foot and kicked at Su Yun, forcing Su Yun to retreat quickly. At this time, Miao Dao was able to raise her blade again. In the face of the Miao Dao's sharp blade technique, Su Yun had to admit that the other party's strength was indeed extraordinary. For such a person to actually betray Wang Longhuang and switch allegiance to Lang Chen, one could imagine how strong Lang Chen's backing was. Most people would treat this kind of expert with sincerity. It was no wonder that Wang Longhuang was so angry after learning of the Miaodao's betrayal. Most people probably would not accept a person you treated with integrity betraying you. Even someone that Wang Longhuang wanted to get rid of could still live freely. It seemed that Lang Chen was even more difficult to deal with. Miaodao did not expect Su Yun to be able to persist in the face of his 3 axes without falling into a disadvantageous position. Moreover, to a certain extent, he had gained an advantage. This was naturally intolerable to Miaodao. He angrily rebuked Su Yun. "This is called cheating. Don't think that I won't dare to kill you just because I want to win your bet. Let me tell you, I'd rather destroy what I can't get than let anyone else get it. If you want to rely on this fluke mentality to try to win against me, then you're too naive. You're thinking too much. I'm just doing things according to my method. Instead, you're the one who's afraid. When the time comes, don't act shamelessly and say that I won with an unfair advantage." Su Yun continued to provoke Miaodao's nerves. At this time, the more the other party was unable to make a clear judgment, the more the other party did not know what to do. On the contrary, if he did not make the other party's head dizzy, he might really make up his mind to fight to the death. Su Yun's provocation at this time worked instantly. Miaodao did not believe that he could not completely take down Su Yun. This mentality was something he learned when he was with Wang Longhuang. Wang Longhuang liked to play with falcons. He had many, many falcons. His favorite thing was to train falcons. Therefore, he would often say that he did not believe that there were falcons in the world that could not be tamed. The principle was the same. There were times when falcons could not withstand their own spiritual power. There were times when humans could not. At this time, once you instilled other thoughts, they would become an extremist who could not think for themselves. Su Yun was now a wild falcon in Miaodao's eyes. He had to use all kinds of methods and means to tame Su Yun and make Su Yun his right-hand man. Miaodao had to train Su Yun the same way he trained falcons, and let Su Yun know that he was an accessory in his hands. "Do you think I'll really be defeated by you because I don't dare to make a move?" Miaodao sneered. "Then you can try. Let's see who will be the first to lie on the ground." Speaking of ruthlessness, Miaodao could not help but raise his sword again in an offensive posture. At this time, Guagua proudly held the remote control button of the bomb in her hand and laughed. "Dad, I've done it. It's already in my pocket." Miaodao turned around and was shocked. He used the relationship between Guagua and Chou Yun to control their words and actions with the remote control bomb. This was the only way to make them obediently submit for the sake of each other's safety. If Guagua did not have such a high-tech bomb on her, Chou Yun would not hesitate to solve the problem even if she had to lose an arm. Guagua was the same. In order to ensure that Chou Yun would not be seriously hurt by this thing, she did not dare to blindly think about all the tricks she had up her sleeves. She was afraid that the other party would see through her tricks and harm Chou Yun. Miaodao accurately grasped the two's thoughts, which was why Guagua obediently submitted and even spoke so politely to the security guard at the school gate. She only left behind her tricks in this detail. This was because ever since the day Guagua acknowledged Su Yun as her dad, she believed that her dad could solve everything. Guagua's IQ was very high, and her deduction ability was even better than that of the average adult. In such an urgent moment, even Chou Yun did not think of how to leave clues for Su Yun. Guagua had already considered that Su Yun would most likely come to the school, and the first person to come into contact with him would definitely be the security guard. That was why Guagua revealed the information of her being taken away to the security guard through chatting. This way, Su Yun would not lose any clues when he came here. Moreover, the security guard would not arouse Miaodao's suspicion. Instead, it would make Miaodao feel that Guagua had completely given up and said her final goodbye to him. To be able to have such meticulous thoughts at this age, who else could it be other than Guagua? If Su Yun had not suddenly rushed in, Guagua would have been thinking about how to leave a deep impression when she saw the lobby supervisor. This was because only by letting the people in this hotel remember you and remember the date, even if Su Yun did not return to Shenzhong today, even if he did not come, there would still be clues to find her in the future. When Guagua was thinking about things, she even thought about a lot of things. No, she thought about all the possibilities that existed in all aspects. This was not something that could be done by a child with a high IQ and intelligence. Guagua was not only high in IQ, but also in EQ and all kinds of IQ. She was an existence that was different from ordinary children. This did not mean that she was precocious, but it represented a kind of self-reliance that was too exaggerated. Perhaps she lost her parents too early. Her grandfather Feng Qiansui was miserably reshuffled by villains, and she wandered all the way with Chou Yun. Later, Chou Yun left her alone in Hadong City in order to lure away the pursuers. All of these forced Guagua's self-reliance to come too early. In fact, Su Yun did not want Guagua to be like this. Once she was determined to be independent, Guagua would lose a lot of her innocence. Living in this state, it was difficult for her to maintain a childlike heart. She would consider problems in an adult way too early. For children, although this was surprising and amazing, it was not necessarily a good thing. Perhaps many people hoped that they could have such a child with a high IQ, EQ, and all other aspects, who could be independent at a young age and become an adult. Then, they could go to Yenjing University, Huaqing University, and other top Huaxia schools. But Su Yun did not think so. Instead, he hoped that Guagua could have more of a child's innocence and play without any scruples. However, it might not be that easy for Guagua to do this. It was not that simple. Su Yun had to get rid of all the people who prevented Guagua from having a child's innocence. Only then could he give Guagua the environment that a child should have. Thinking of this, Su Yun, who had been holding back all this time, suddenly erupted with a powerful force in his body. This force made him attack Miao Dao again without hesitation. Seeing Su Yun's aggressive approach, Miao Dao felt a wave of apprehension in his heart. Guagua had already distracted him by snatching away the bomb remote control, and Su Yun's momentum this time was definitely different from before. It actually made Miao Dao, who was also a super expert like Su Yun, feel an inexplicably powerful pressure. For Miao Dao, this kind of pressure was definitely not good. Experts of the same level would not give him this kind of pressure. Even if they were both super experts, but they were level 9 experts who were much higher than him. Even if they could easily defeat him, they would not be able to give him this kind of spiritual pressure. Chapter 594. There were thousands of ancient martial arts cultivators in Huaxia. There were 3 stages in the initial stage, from third-rate experts to second-rate experts, and finally, first-rate experts. There were 9 breakthroughs at each level, and each breakthrough would improve one's state of mind and strength. That's right. In a true sense, even first-rate experts could only be arranged at the initial stage. This was because only after truly stepping into the ranks of super experts could one begin to comprehend the mystery of the existence of essential qi in one's body. This mystery was not comprehended by experts whose inner strength had yet to form essential qi. Therefore, in a sense, only when one reached the realm of a super expert could one be considered a true expert. Only then would one be able to break away from the state of not knowing much about oneself when one was at the initial stage. Only when one reached the stage of a super expert, when one's inner strength transformed into protective essential qi and all of one's acupoints were connected, would one be able to experience the mystery of cultivation. Therefore, if Miao Dao was a first-rate expert, it was inevitable that he would be able to feel the pressure that Su Yun gave him. After all, the difference in strength was very big. However, Miao Dao had already broken away from the initial stage. He was also a true expert who had comprehended the mystery of transforming his inner strength into protective essential qi and all of his acupoints being connected. Therefore, Miao Dao was completely unable to believe that Su Yun could give Miao Dao this kind of pressure. It was not that he had not experienced this kind of domineering pressure before. Once, he had experienced it from the Southern Lu overlord, Long Huang, and another time from the Netherworld king, Lang Chen. These 2 people were absolute experts in the Grandmaster realm and could completely suppress Miao Dao by a level. However, Su Yun was not. As a super expert whose level was even lower than his in Miao Dao's heart, how could Su Yun display such domineering pressure in front of him? Although it was only for a moment, that kind of pressure did indeed make Miao Dao feel a little terrified. After feeling this strong pressure, Miao Dao fought with Su Yun again. Obviously, he did not have the confidence from before, and the huge difference made Miao Dao's heart tremble. In this state, How could he be a match for Su Yun, who had just erupted? Su Yun's moves were still simple. There was nothing gorgeous about them, but every strike was strong and powerful. Every strike was so tricky that it was difficult for the Miao Dao to parry. If it wasn't for the change in his mentality, perhaps Miao Dao would not have felt so strenuous. But now, Miao Dao was beginning to feel very uncomfortable. His blocking speed was even beginning to be unable to keep up with the speed of Su Yun's punches and kicks. The more it was like this, the more flustered the Miao Dao became, and the more flustered it was, the more it did not know what to do. Many times, when faced with Su Yun's tricky punches and kicks, it began to be unable to parry, and could only retreat to dodge. However, the indoor space was too small after all. Su Yun would not give the Miao Dao a chance to escape his attack range to adjust. It was the same principle in a battle between two people and two armies. Once the momentum was there, it had to be done in one go, not giving the other party a chance to take a breather. Just like in a sports competition, one side on the basketball court could even cut down more than 10 or even 20 points in a row. At this time, once the opposing coach called for a timeout and gave adjustments and analysis, they might be able to stop this situation of continuing to fall behind. Of course, the battle between Su Yun and Miao Dao could not be described as a basketball game because no coach could call a timeout for Miao Dao. Miao Dao could brace himself to take on wave after wave of crazy attacks from Su Yun. Under Su Yun's crazy attacks, Miao Dao finally could not help but begin to retreat in defeat, and began to show signs of flaws. Su Yun would not waste this God-given opportunity. As he praised Guagua in his heart for doing a good job, he tangled with Miao Dao even more crazily. Chou Yun also took the bomb's remote control from Guagua's hand immediately. This kind of thing was not to be taken lightly. Once it was triggered, both Guagua and her had the possibility of being disabled. Chou Yun did not want this to happen to Guagua. The battle between Su Yun and Miao Dao could not affect her at all. She quickly and carefully disassembled the remote control and destroyed the triggering device. After the triggering device was destroyed, Chou Yun finally breathed a sigh of relief. At least the danger on Guagua's body was removed. Although the high-tech bomb on her wrist that could easily disable people without taking people's lives had not been removed, there would definitely be a chance to remove it in the future. Chou Yun knew that she could finally help Su Yun, but after seeing the two supermasters crazily fighting, she realized that she could not get involved at all. At this time, the lobby supervisor, who was huddled in the corner of the private room and scared silly, was holding his phone while trembling. He tried to take the opportunity to call the police, but Chou Yun kicked the phone out of his hand and it fell to the ground, breaking into pieces. She knew that Su Yun did not want to be involved with the police, and she herself did not want to deal with the police. This was the subtle relationship between Chou Yun and Qin Wan-er. In Ruan Qingshuang's view, the two of them were a family. In fact, whether it was from Ruan Qingshuang's perspective, Guagua's perspective, or Su Yun's perspective, Chou Yun and Qin Wan were indeed closer than friends, but there was always a gap between the two of them. Of course, this was inevitable. In the beginning, there was still a gap between Qin Wan-er and Su Yun, but after all, the relationship between men and women was easier to deal with than the relationship between women. So, Su Yun and Qin Wan-er quickly got along, while Chou Yun needed a long time to get in touch with Qin Wan-er. But the two of them were still busy with their own things. Chou Yun put all her thoughts on Guagua, and Qin Wan-er also used work to numb herself and not think about Su Yun. So, the two of them were not so close. They were still friends, but to say that they were a family was a bit of a stretch. You take Guagua and go first. Sister Shuang is waiting for you at home. Su Yun quickly threw the car key to Chou Yun when the Miao Dao couldn't resist and retreated. He didn't want Guagua to see a bloody scene, and he didn't want Ruan Qingshuang to be worried at home. Chou Yun received the key and quickly picked up Guagua and jumped down from the window on the third floor, leaving only one sentence: "If you want to go, let's go together." Of course, Guagua also thought so. She couldn't leave Su Yun's father and go home to find Guagua's mother. In that case, she would be an unkind and unjust Guagua. Su Yun tried his best to save her from afar. Now he still hadn't escaped. How could Guagua leave? Chou Yun brought Guagua down because she was afraid that some scenes would be too bloody. She also didn't want Guagua to come into contact with these things. Moreover, although the bomb controller was dismantled, the bomb on the wrist was still there. If it was hit by a strong impact, no one could guarantee that it wouldn't explode. After jumping downstairs, Cho Yun pressed the unlock button of the car key to confirm the car. She quickly took Guagua to the car and said, "You wait for me here. I'll help him." Guagua nodded sensibly. Although she was worried that Cho Yun would be in danger when she went back, she was also worried that Su Yun would be in danger. Therefore, Guagua would rather believe that the other party would be outnumbered. If Cho Yun could go, she could more or less help Su Yun. Cho Yun locked the car door and rushed back to the restaurant. All the staff inside were stunned. Cho Yun's coldness could leave a deep impression on people. Therefore, all the staff present could confirm that she was a guest who had been upstairs before. No one had seen her come down on the way. Soon, the whole restaurant began to spread that a pair of coldly beautiful women had come today. Twins. When Cho Yun rushed to the room, Miao Dao was kneeling on one knee, panting heavily. There was even a trace of dried blood at the corner of his mouth. It looked like he had suffered a great loss. It was obvious that his chest had been hit by Su Yun's fist. One had to know that Su Yun's fist, which contained true qi and inner force, was not to be trifled with. At the same time, Su Yun was not much better. A wound of more than 10 centimeters had been cut open on his arm by Miao Dao's wide blade. Blood quickly dyed half of his sleeve red. It looked like he had gained an advantage in that punch, but the other party had not lost either. Cho Yun saw this and quickly tore off the cloth on her sleeve to bandage Su Yun's wound, preventing Su Yun from losing consciousness due to excessive bleeding. "It's no use. There's poison on my blade. 2 hours, just 2 hours, and he'll be dead. Ha ha ha. Cough, cough, cough." Miao Dao was just about to laugh when he coughed a few times. At the same time, he spat out a mouthful of pus and blood. He did not dare to let himself move at all during the whole process. It seemed that the internal injury just now had seriously injured him. Cho Yun did not hesitate to step forward and pick up Miao Dao's wide-faced short blade that had fallen to the ground. She ruthlessly slashed Miao Dao's left shoulder. Miao Dao could not help but cry out in pain from the tearing of his muscles. "Where's the antidote?" Cho Yun said coldly. "I'll give you 3 seconds to consider." With that, Cho Yun stuck the short blade directly to Miao Dao's throat. 1. Without waiting for Cho Yun to say 2, Miao Dao spoke. "In the left pocket of my clothes. Apply the powder in the red bottle externally. Take the pills in the black bottle orally." Cho Yun took out the pills and directly opened them. She first gave Miao Dao 1 pill, then applied the powder medicine on Miao Dao. Miao Dao did not have any intention of resisting during the whole process. Only then did Cho Yun feel relieved. She hurriedly gave Su Yun the pill and treated the wound. The wound was very deep. Even Cho Yun felt a faint heartache when she saw it. "Don't worry about me for now. Kill him first." Su Yun pointed at Miao Dao and said, "His qi will recover very quickly in secret. Don't give him a chance to escape." Miao Dao was shocked. "This is Hua Xia, a society ruled by law. You're breaking the law by killing people. And you just used my antidote. Don't tell me you're going to bite the hand that feeds you so soon? It's fine if you don't want to die. Answer my question." Su Yun did not wait for Miao Dao to agree. He asked him first, "Why did Lungchen want you to come here to find them? What's the reason? What did Green Ghost say to him?" Miao Dao shook his head. "How would I know about the Netherworld King's affairs? I'm not the master of Netherworld King Island. I only ask about what's within my responsibility. I don't care about anything else. This is the Netherworld King's rule. I'm here to bring them back. There's no reason. If the Netherworld King wants me to do it, I'll do it." Su Yun stared at Miao Dao's eyes for a long time. His intuition told him that Miao Dao was not lying. He did not know what use Guagua had, but since the Netherworld King wanted him to capture them, he had to obey. It seemed that everything was related to Green Ghost. Then let me ask you again. Is Green Ghost still alive? Su Yun asked. Miao Dao shook his head. I don't know either. Although the last time I saw Green Ghost, he did return to Netherworld King Island with his last breath. But because of his mistake, Jin Shao of Swallow Gate died in your hands in Suong. The Netherworld King has already handed him over to Ghost Dr. Peng Juanda to deal with. I'm afraid only the Netherworld King and Ghost Doctor know if he's human or ghost now. Chapter 595. Su Yun sneered, Since you're so useless and can't give me any information, what's the use of keeping you alive? As he spoke, Su Yun said to Cho Yun, who had bandaged his wounds, Kill him to prevent future trouble. You didn't give me any useful information, so what reason do I have to keep you alive? Just because you're ugly? Cho Yun didn't say anything and walked straight towards Miao Dao. With the violent Fox Venerable's cold temperament and the fact that she was a man of her word, even if her strength hadn't broken through the realm of a super expert, she was still a well-known name in the underground world. Every time she took a step closer to Miao Dao's heart couldn't help but beat wildly. Seeing that Cho Yun was about to attack Miao Dao exclaimed, I have very useful information. Promise me, as long as you don't kill me, I'll tell you. I swear this information is definitely useful, and you must really want to know. Let me go, and I'll tell you. Su Yun shrugged helplessly, If you don't say it, how will we know if you're telling the truth or not? If what you say is still bullshit, why should I let you go? Seeing that Cho Yun was about to attack him, Miao Dao finally argued, Then I'll say it first, I promise you'll be surprised when you hear it. It's definitely meaningful information, and you'll definitely be grateful to me after I say it. As long as you promise me that you won't kill me if what I say is meaningful, I'll say it. Otherwise, you'll regret it if you kill me. Seeing that Cho Yun was about to attack, Su Yun stopped Cho Yun and said to Miao Dao, Although I usually hate people who are greedy for life and afraid of death the most, but sometimes, I especially like people who are greedy for life and afraid of death. If my enemy is someone who is greedy for life and afraid of death, I'll be very happy. Haha, Miao Dao, no matter what, you're a super expert famous in the underground world, I really didn't expect you to be so afraid of death. Alright, I'll give you a chance. If you say something that I have to admit is important to me, I won't kill you. But if it's meaningless, I won't be merciful. I'm a man of my word. God is watching me. Miao Dao nodded vigorously. I believe that you are a man of your word. I'll tell you everything. After the wrist bomb controller is removed, the wrist bomb will receive a signal of destruction and will explode in 24 hours. If you don't want to be disabled, you only have 24 hours to deal with it. Wang, Su Yun's mind was in a mess. Miao Dao's words had indeed shocked him. One had to know that both Guagua and Cho Yun had this thing. If this was true, wouldn't it be troublesome? Tell me how to get them to get that damn thing down. Su Yun was a little angry. Hurting the people around him was something he couldn't tolerate the most. Miao Dao shook his head. If the remote controller was still there, you'd need to enter a 6-digit password to remove it, but now the controller has been destroyed. Then he would have to think of another way. We can only remove it by force. Su Yun really wanted to kill Miao Dao right now to vent his anger, but he had promised that if Miao Dao's information really helped him, he wouldn't kill him again. Su Yun had always been a man of his word. However, Cho Yun didn't care so much. She went forward and twisted Miao Dao's neck without hesitation. Miao Dao's eyes were still wide open even at the moment of his death. He was unwilling. Su Yun was just about to say something when Cho Yun stopped him. Just now, you were the one who promised not to kill him, not me. I'm the one who killed him. It has nothing to do with you. You didn't break your promise. What else could Su Yun say to Cho Yun like this? He understood what Cho Yun was thinking now because this bastard had put this damn thing on her and Guagua. If they couldn't remove it now, it was very likely that Guagua would be in danger. Cho Yun was unwilling. It didn't matter if she lost an arm, but she really wasn't willing to let Guagua lose an arm too. Su Yun could tell what Cho Yun was thinking and comforted her. Don't worry, there must be a way. We still have 24 hours. There's so much time, there's no need to rush. Trust me, I'll definitely have a way. Cho Yun was deeply grateful for Su Yun's comfort, but she knew very well that comfort was just that. I won't let go even if there's only a glimmer of hope. Su Yun said, there must be a way, but you mustn't give up. If you do, I'm afraid there won't be any other way. Guagua is in the car. You take her back first. I'll leave as soon as I deal with the scene. Cho Yun said, there's still their RV here. I can deal with it myself, and I'll meet you back as soon as possible. Remember, don't tell Guagua that the bomb on her wrist will explode in 24 hours. Su Yun nodded. He knew that the reason was very simple. Sudden death wasn't terrible because people didn't know it would come before, but waiting for death was different. That kind of feeling of fear was very unpleasant. Cho Yun had a lot of considerations. The reason why she did this was for Guagua. Even if this matter wasn't solved, she didn't want Guagua to suffer for 24 hours. She wanted to spend it happily. They could talk about the rest later. After the division of labor was clear, Su Yun went downstairs and quickly drove Guagua away. Guagua was very sensible. She didn't ask where Cho Yun went. She just sat beside Su Yun happily and said, Dad, I knew you would come to protect me. Hee, you are my Superman. As long as I need you and think of you, you will immediately come to my side. It seems that the school teachers are very good. They taught my Guagua to speak so well. Su Yun smiled and said, let's go home first. Cho Yun will be there later. Mom made a lot of delicious food for you. Don't worry, you will be very happy to see it. Guagua heard and drooled. The food in the school cafeteria can't be compared with the food at home. I'm dying of hunger. Dad, I want to eat pork trotters with rock sugar. Do you have this dish? Of course you have it. Haha, Mom knows me best. But you and Mom haven't seen each other for a long time. Didn't you do some things that only adult men and women do when I wasn't at home? You were embarrassed when I was by your side in the past. What's there to be embarrassed about now? Su Yun liked Guagua in this state. She was carefree and spoke without thinking, without scheming at all. He didn't want Guagua to live in that kind of dangerous situation in the future. Her mind would be filled with nervous things and she wouldn't be able to joke and play without worries. At this moment, Cho Yun was throwing Miao Dao and the others into the RV. Then, she drove in the opposite direction of Su Yun and the others. Everything was settled. The return journey always felt so pleasant and fast. When Su Yun brought Guagua home, he was more or less shocked by the luxury cars parked all over the roadside. Were they going to have a car show at home? The noise in the villa made Su Yun a little speechless. When he brought Guagua into the room, he realized that Bufifan had brought his friends to the house for a gathering again. The whole room was filled with smoke and alcohol. The delicacies that Ruan Qingxuang and Su Yun had painstakingly prepared in the kitchen were all eaten by these guys. At this moment, Ruan Qingxuang didn't know whether to laugh or cry. When she saw Su Yun bring Guagua back, the haze in her heart was instantly swept away. Seeing Su Yun bring Guagua in, Bufifan didn't say anything. Instead, he was still lying comfortably on the sofa, eating, drinking, and fooling around with his friends. It was unknown if he was going to treat Su Yun as heir. Although Bufifan didn't say anything, the guys who came last time were quite polite. They greeted Su Yun, but when they saw Su Yun's expression, they didn't dare to provoke him again. If it was any other day, Su Yun would have tolerated it. After all, Bufifan was still a child. However, he really had something urgent today. If he couldn't deal with the smart bomb on Guagua's wrist in 24 hours, Guagua's arm would be gone. Su Yun directly turned off the sound system on the wall and ceiling. The whole room instantly became much quieter. The men and women who were chatting and being intimate all focused their attention on Su Yun. Bufifan's expression was more or less unhappy. He hated it when people interrupted his music. Su Yun, what do you mean by this? Bufifan said coldly, did we offend you or provoke you? I'll give you 10 minutes. All of you, get out of here. Su Yun said bluntly, I don't have time to talk nonsense with each of you. If you don't leave after 10 minutes, I'll personally make you leave. Su Yun's domineering aura caused everyone present to feel an enormous pressure in their hearts. As soon as Su Yun's words fell, some people began to prepare to leave. No one wanted to offend such a person who seemed to be untouchable. Are you crazy? Bu Fifan couldn't tolerate Su Yun treating his friends like this. Don't tell me you think this is your home? Let me tell you, even if Auntie isn't here, this house is still mine. What right do you have to control who I want to bring to my house to play? If Yi Fala hadn't begged me again and again, do you really think I'd be so free as to be your guardian? Su Yun didn't have his usual patience. He looked around again and spat out one word, "Get out." Bu Fifan's face was directly thrown to the ground by Su Yun. Bu Fifan couldn't accept this at all. He was so angry that he lost his mind. He stood up and glared at Su Yun. Su Yun didn't say a word from beginning to end. Bu Fifan's friends left obediently. You ate all my delicious food? Guagua looked at the kitchen in disappointment. She pointed at Bu Fifan and said, You made all these for me today, but you actually gave them all. Humph, don't let me see you again next time. After saying that, she leaned into Ruan Qingxuang's arms and asked who Bu Fifan was and why he did this. Ruan Qingxuang also learned some things from Su Yun and Xingkai Hotel. She explained a little to Guagua, then asked Guagua what she wanted to eat. She immediately went to cook for her. Su Yun, you're really good. You directly brought your family to live in my house. Bu Fifan sneered and said, Auntie found me a guardian, not someone who came to make trouble for me. Do you understand? Su Yun didn't have time to explain to him now. I promised Yi Fala that I would be responsible for her. You'd better think about it clearly. Also, don't mess with me today. I don't have time to talk nonsense with you, and I don't have time to waste with you. Go back to your room right now. Don't make me really angry. So what if you're angry? Bu Fifan provoked Su Yun's last anger. Su Yun pointed at the hard marble table in front of Bu Fifan and said indifferently, I don't know which is harder, your stomach or this stone? After saying that, Su Yun's finger directly penetrated the marble table, leaving a hole. Seeing this, Bu Fifan's 8-pack couldn't help but tremble. Was this a human finger? Even an electric drill couldn't be this fast, right? Chapter 596. Bu Fifan smacked his lips and didn't say anything else. He obediently shut up and returned to his room. However, from his expression, he definitely wasn't hostile towards Su Yun. Instead, he seemed to be somewhat respectful. Unfortunately, Su Yun wasn't in the mood to observe or care about Bu Fifan's feelings. He only hoped that he could use the fastest method to remove the thing on Guagua's wrist. Su Yun, no matter what, he's only a 13-year-old child. Why are you so angry? Ruan Qingxuang said, Children will definitely make mistakes sometimes. If you educate them well, they'll definitely change. In the future, you should also be more patient. Don't yell at him regardless of the occasion. After all, you have so many friends. Boys all want to save face. Su Yun shrugged his shoulders. I didn't expect you to be so patient with a child like this. I'm not going to spoil that kid's bad habits. In the future, if he brings someone home to do something crazy, I'll directly kick him out. If I don't show them my power, they'll really think I'm a sick cat. You worked so hard to make so much food, but it all went into those bastard stomachs. How can I not be anxious? No matter who ate it, it's fine as long as it's all eaten. It's not shameful if it's not wasted or thrown away. Ruan Qingxuang comforted Su Yun. Then tell me what you want to eat. I'll make it for you. Right, Guagua? Don't you think so? When we have good food, of course, we have to share it with other friends. Guagua was also generous. Yes, sharing is a must. I just hope that he'll be more polite in the future. Otherwise, if he eats my food and doesn't thank me, that'll be too abominable. By the way, Mom, you said that he's only 13? He's not short, so he should be mentally mature. Why is he still like a child? Su Yun and Ruan Qingxuang were speechless. They didn't dare to continue Guagua's words. Most children probably weren't as mentally mature as her, right? They weren't even on the same level. If Bu Fifan was an ordinary kid, if he played with Guagua, even if he was sold by Guagua, he would still help Guagua count the money. By the way, where's Chou Yun? Why didn't Chou Yun come back? Ruan Qingxuang asked Su Yun and Guagua. At this moment, Su Yun and Guagua gave the same answer. She's dealing with some personal matters. She'll be back soon. No one talked about what happened today, mainly because they were afraid that it would make Ruan Qingxuang worried. Anyway, the matter had already passed. It was meaningless to let Ruan Qingxuang be afraid again. Sister Shuang, why don't you go and make some food for Guagua? I have something to do with her. Su Yun, Guagua hasn't eaten yet. She's probably hungry now. Chou Yun will be back soon. She probably hasn't eaten either. Make some more. Ruan Qingxuang nodded. Of course. You haven't eaten either. I've been waiting for you guys. All the delicious food had been eaten by their friends. You play with Guagua. I'll go to the kitchen. As soon as Ruan Qingxuang turned to cook, Su Yun found a toolbox and began to study the wrist balm on Guagua's wrist. This thing was really interesting to make. It tried to control people in this way. It could hurt people, but at the same time, it didn't put their lives in danger. Guagua sensibly handed her wrist to Su Yun. She also knew that she couldn't wear this thing forever. She had to take it off as soon as possible. Although she didn't know that it would explode in 24 hours, she knew that it would be dangerous to wear it for a long time. Bu Fifan went back to his room and closed the door. He immediately called his friends and told them about his magical experience. Whether they believed it or not, he believed that Su Yun was really a legendary master. Like Aunt Yi, he was a big shot that couldn't be messed with. When he said that Su Yun could poke through the marble coffee table with his finger, everyone made fun of him and said that he was bragging. He also knew that it sounded ridiculous. If he had heard it, he wouldn't have believed it either. He saw it with his own eyes, so he believed it. He believed it very, very much. He didn't have the slightest doubt that it was a magic trick. Bu Fifan had purposely infuriated Su Yun this time. Ever since his last encounter with Su Yun, he had been wondering if Su Yun was an expert, and how powerful he was. He believed that Aunt Yi wouldn't find an ordinary person to be his supervisor. However, he also knew that if he asked directly, the more powerful the person was, the more he wouldn't tell him. Therefore, he thought of provoking Su Yun, and let Su Yun use some kind of anger to vent his strength. However, Bu Fifan didn't expect that before he did anything, Su Yun was already angry. He couldn't understand this. Wasn't this guy's temper quite good before? Bu Fifan hadn't even done a single one of his evil schemes, but Su Yun was already furious. At this time, Bu Fifan more or less understood where Su Yun's reverse scale was. He was a guy who cared a lot about the people around him. If you did anything to him, he might not be angry, but if you didn't do anything to him, he would be merciless. Bu Fifan knew that Aunt Yi would find someone she didn't need to worry about. No matter what, Bu Fifan had a good impression of Su Yun. However, because of his face, he didn't know how to express it. The friendship between men was different from that between women. Women could become best friends by sharing some delicious food or toys with each other, but they could also become enemies because of a man. Men were different. Friendship between men wasn't something that could be exchanged. Between real brothers, it was almost impossible for them to become enemies because of a woman. Otherwise, there wouldn't be such a saying, brothers are like hands and feet, women are like clothes. Although there was a big age gap between them, Bu Fifan still hoped to become friends with Su Yun. If men wanted to be friends, they had to let go of themselves and chat. Maybe they could talk about common topics. They were all men. Bu Fifan thought that Su Yun might also like the military. So, he found a military magazine that only super military fans would buy and prepared to go out and chat with Su Yun. At this moment, Su Yun was seriously using a small pair of tweezers to open the wrist balm on Guagua's wrist. There were many densely packed wires inside. This time, Su Yun was really at a loss. When he was in the army, Wang Yi told him to learn how to defuse bombs. However, he felt bored and didn't pay attention. Now that he suddenly had to use it, it was troublesome. This wasn't a movie where he had to choose between the red and blue wires. If he cut the wrong one, Guagua would be seriously injured. Su Yun's mind went blank. Even if he knew how to defuse bombs, the colorful wires inside would make Su Yun feel lost. Where could he find a bomb disposal expert at this time? Su Yun didn't have any ideas. Guagua could tell from his serious expression that he was in a difficult position. Fortunately, Guagua was sensible. "Dad, if there's no other way, we can cut all of them with a pair of scissors. Maybe the speed of this thing receiving the command to explode is not as fast as your scissors." Guagua's idea was good, and it was possible in theory. However, it would be too difficult to actually do it. It wasn't a joke at all. Just as Su Yun was at a loss, Bu Fifan suddenly walked out of the room with a military magazine in his hand. He looked at Su Yun with a slightly embarrassed expression. "Do you smoke?" Su Yun didn't have time to pay attention to him. He didn't even reply. When Bu Fifan saw the toolbox in front of Su Yun, his curiosity was instantly aroused. He walked over to Su Yun and Guagua as if nothing had happened. When he saw the thing on Guagua's wrist that Su Yun had disassembled, he couldn't help but exclaim, "Wrist-type mini-hostage control bomb." Su Yun and Guagua couldn't help but open their eyes wide. Su Yun and Guagua were very surprised. This thing had been disassembled. How could a young boy like Bu Fifan recognize it? It was simply unbelievable. Su Yun couldn't help but look at him in a new light. "How do you know?" Su Yun asked curiously. "Have you seen it before?" Bu Fifan nodded. Of course. A super military fan wouldn't miss the chance to learn about these strange things. "I've seen this thing in a fanatical military magazine published in Europe and America. It's only been on the market for a year, and it's widely used in various countries to control political criminals and terrorist leaders who have been arrested. Of course, there are also some that enter the black market through special channels and become a very effective weapon used by major criminals to kidnap their opponents. In this world, no one wants to lose an arm or a leg." Hearing Bu Fifan's clear and logical explanation, Su Yun was really stunned. Guagua also started to admire this guy from the very beginning. Without waiting for Su Yun to ask another question to confirm if he really understood, Bu Fifan continued, "Don't joke about this thing. Where's the controller? Hurry up and enter the password to remove this wrist-type bomb. It's very dangerous. If it's triggered, you'll lose an arm." "Do you think I'm the kind of person who would make such a dangerous joke?" "Su Yun, if there's still a controller, do I need to take this thing apart to see what's inside?" Guagua helplessly relaxed her shoulders and sighed like a little adult. "There's no other way. The controller was broken by Cho Yun. She doesn't know that it can't be removed without the controller." "Broken?" Bu Fifan's eyes widened when he heard this. "Are you guys crazy? How dare you break anything? If the controller is broken, then we'll be in trouble. This thing will explode after 24 hours. When did you break it? How long did it take? Oh my God." Guagua's mouth formed an O shape. She didn't know there was such a thing. Now she finally understood why Su Yun was in such a hurry to remove this thing for her. It turned out that there was such a great danger. This meant that both she and Cho Yun were in danger, and it was a danger that had to be resolved within 24 hours. Although Guagua knew about this, she didn't seem as panicked as Su Yun imagined. She nodded seriously, as if she accepted everything. Su Yun glanced at Bu Fifan. "Why do you know so much?" "I'm a military enthusiast." Bu Fifan said, "I've liked these things since I was young. Although I can't get the real thing to play with, I still read all kinds of military magazines. There are too few professional military magazines in Huaxia, so I started to use tools to search for foreign military websites. I also ordered some magazines and sent them over. It's just that I have to wait for a long time and can't be the first to read the latest professional military magazines." Chapter 597. Su Yun didn't say anything else after he spoke. He knew that his problem was too difficult, and Bu Fifan couldn't possibly have a solution. However, to Su Yun's surprise, after he turned around, Bu Fifan gave him a completely opposite answer. If you believe me, I'm willing to give it a try. I'll ask my master first. Maybe he has a solution, Bu Fifan said. Seeing Su Yun and Guagua's surprised expressions, he explained, "It won't take too long. Although my master isn't that old, he's definitely an expert in military weapons research. Not to mention this, he's even personally dealt with the most dangerous biological weapons. He's the most popular military genius in Europe and America right now." Su Yun's eyes widened. He couldn't help but ask, "You're not saying that Kevin Matthew is your master, are you?" Bu Fifan's eyes widened. "How did you know? I've never told anyone. This is a secret between me and my master. My master told me not to tell anyone." How did you know? How did you know that Kevin Matthew is my master?" "Oh my God." Su Yun almost fainted. What kind of international joke was this? Kevin Matthew was a world-famous military genius. Everyone knew this. Moreover, this guy was young and promising. Before he was 20 years old, he had published a paper on how he could use a certain element to increase the power of biological weapons. At that time, this paper had completely shocked the entire world. All kinds of experts began to criticize his arrogance and whimsical thinking. In the end, his paper was approved by the World Biological Weapons Association's Research Committee. Experiments proved that he was right. With just this paper, this Chinese and American mixed-blood guy, Kevin Matthew, became a weirdo in the world's military world. The weirdo here wasn't the kind of stupid internet slang that people would find unbelievable. It was the real weirdo. Weirdo originally meant strange and beautiful flowers. It was often used to describe precious and strange things or very outstanding things. It referred to rare and special things that were very beautiful and outstanding. Many countries offered him amazing benefits and invited him, but he rejected them all without hesitation. The United States valued human rights, so they didn't force him to do anything. They even arranged for the FBI agents to protect him so that the agents of other countries couldn't hurt or threaten him. Therefore, Kevin Matthew lived a very comfortable life. If he really wanted to know the salary offered to him by each country, then to put it bluntly, the country that offered him the lowest annual salary offered him more than the top 10 NAB stars in the US combined. This was the condition for the lowest annual salary. For example, rich countries like Huasia's annual salary was more than 3 times more than the lowest annual salary. No matter what era, no matter what century, as long as it was on this planet, the most precious thing would always be talent. Su Yun was the captain and instructor of the Dragon Brigade's Dragon Fury team. Naturally, he had heard that the country wanted to invite Kevin Matthew. After all, his father was from Huaxia and he was a descendant of Huaxia. However, his father was killed in the pursuit for violating international espionage laws. He was raised by his mother in the United States, so he lived in the United States. Back then, Huaxia did intend to pull such a talent into the Dragon Brigade's Special Weapons Research Department. Unfortunately, he rejected everyone's good intentions. He said that ever since he found out the cause of his father's death, he swore that he would never be used by any country. He only wanted to live a free life. "Are you kidding me?" Su Yun said helplessly. "Do you think I don't know what kind of person Kevin Matthew is? He's your master? Where did you meet him? Do you know where he lives?" Bu Fifan was provoked by Su Yun and also became excited. "Of course I know. He lives in Los Angeles, the City of Angels in the west coast of the United States. Do you think I'm joking? Let me tell you, my master and I are fated to meet. Although I only ask him about everything through online video, and I have never met him in person, he and I are definitely like-minded." Su Yun was unable to calm himself down for a long time. This brat had given him too much of a shock, right? He had the urge to choose to believe him. "If you don't believe me, there's nothing I can do. I'm just being kind." Bu Fifan said, "Su Yun, you can't just watch such a cute little girl suffer the pain of losing an arm, right? I believe you, but you have to prove to me that Kevin Matthew is really your master. Su Yun. Although he trusted Bu Fifan, he had to be cautious. I can only rest assured if I see with my own eyes that the person you're talking to is Kevin Matthew. Although Guagua isn't my biological daughter, I've always treated her like one. You should understand how I feel. Just like how you want to see with your own eyes what I can do. Bu Fifan was stunned. It turned out that his intention to provoke Su Yun and make him show some strength had been seen through by Su Yun. Otherwise, Su Yun wouldn't have pierced the thick marble table with his finger. It was very expensive to poke a hole in such an expensive coffee table. It was still the old saying, what you hear is false, but seeing is believing. He had to see it with his own eyes to be completely relieved. I understand. But I need to ask. I have to respect my master. Bu Fifan's gaze was firm. Perhaps this was the biggest concession he could make. Su Yun nodded and said, okay, that's not a problem. Of course, you have to respect him. If he doesn't want to, I'll think of other ways. Bu Fifan immediately ran upstairs to contact Kevin Matthew. Su Yun also went upstairs with Guagua. As long as Kevin Matthew agreed, he would bring Guagua in as soon as possible. At this time, Ruan Qingxuang came out with the pork trotters she had just made. Seeing that the two of them had no intention of eating and were running upstairs, she was puzzled. What time is it? Hurry up and get ready to eat. Otherwise, you'll feel unwell from hunger. However, Su Yun and Guagua weren't in the mood to eat. They couldn't care less about the temptation of the pork trotters and hurried to Bu Fifan's door. Bu Fifan closed the door and connected to Kevin Matthews' online video call. However, there was no response. Thinking about it, based on Hua Xia's current time, it should be around 6 in the morning in California. As a technical geek like Kevin Matthew, he probably wouldn't wake up before 10. As a last resort, Bu Fifan dialed Kevin Matthews' number. When the call connected, a sleepy voice asked in English, "What time is it now? What's so urgent that you have to call now?" "Master, it's really an urgent matter." Bu Fifan said, "My sister's wrist was locked by someone with a wrist bomb. Now the controller has been destroyed. If it can't be removed within 24 hours, how can it be safely removed by force? There are so many wires in it that I can't understand at all." Kevin Matthews' voice seemed to be much more awake. "You're quite capable. You can remove the shell of the wrist bomb? Who did your sister offend to have this kind of thing put on her? The price of a wrist bomb isn't cheap. Master, I'm really anxious. I hope you can help me. Help me see what I should do." Bu Fifan said, "Can I let her in?" Kevin Matthew thought for a moment. "Okay, then turn on the video call. I'm going to get up." "Right, if you really want to save your sister, I'll give you a piece of advice. Don't solve the problem yourself. I'm afraid you won't be able to withstand such a huge pressure. Wouldn't it be troublesome if your hand trembles?" Bu Fifan was stunned for a moment. Then, he asked tentatively, "Then, other than my sister, can I let her godfather in?" "Yes." "I knew that the shell of the wrist bomb wasn't removed by you. Even if your sister's godfather isn't a bomb disposal expert, he must have some knowledge of bomb disposal to be able to do it." Kevin Matthew answered very straightforwardly. "Then I'll get up immediately. Hopefully, that damn wrist bomb can last a few minutes before exploding." "Okay." Bu Fifan nodded quickly. Then, he threw the phone aside and turned on the video call. Then, he opened the door and gestured for Su Yun and Guagua to come in. When Su Yun got the other party's permission, he immediately went downstairs to get all the tools. Ruan Qingxuang, who went to the kitchen to prepare other delicacies, was still in the dark and didn't know what was going on. About 5 minutes later, Kevin Matthew, who was still holding a toothbrush in his mouth, appeared in front of the video call. Although Su Yun was prepared for everything, he was still shocked and gasped. It really was Kevin Matthew. This genius, who was hard to find in many countries, actually had such a close relationship with Bu Fifan. He didn't expect it at all. Bu Fifan saw that Su Yun was shocked. He said proudly, "How is it? I told you that my master is Kevin Matthew. You didn't believe me. Ahem. Kevin Matthew coughed softly. Didn't I tell you many times to keep a low profile? You don't really want the FBI agents to invite you to the White House to talk to the president, do you? When the time comes, don't ask me to help you deal with and solve the problem. I only settle personal matters, not any national issues. Master, I didn't say it. He guessed it. I'm curious how he knew, Bufifan said. Su Yun was speechless. How could that be called guessing? He just said it casually. He didn't even believe it. It was just an example. Because Kevin Matthew was the most famous genius in the weapons industry, he mentioned him. If he wasn't so famous, Su Yun wouldn't have mentioned him. That means your godfather is a genius, Kevin Matthew said helplessly. He basically knew the reason. He's not my godfather. He's her godfather. Bufifan pointed at Guagua. Kevin Matthew was confused. Didn't you say she's your sister? Your sister's godfather. Isn't he your godfather? Little Boo, don't tell me you don't even know the most basic seniority. Okay, let's not waste our breath. Let me see what's going on. Su Yun thanked him gratefully. Then, he put the wrist balm on Guagua's wrist in front of the camera. Kevin Matthew, who was far away on the other side of the ocean, didn't waste any time. He immediately began to study it. Because he couldn't see it directly, but through a video, he was very careful. After each observation, he would type something into the computer and study the results. In this way, more than half an hour passed. Su Yun and Bufifan were so anxious that sweat appeared on their foreheads. Only then did Kevin Matthew let out a heavy sigh of relief and leaned heavily behind the chair. Chapter 598. Everyone's eyes were focused on the screen, watching this young weapons expert. His every move affected everyone's hearts, especially Su Yun's. Kevin Matthew seemed to know who was the backbone of the people on the other side of the screen. His eyes quickly locked onto Su Yun's gaze. Su Yun didn't avoid it. Su Yun had no doubts about this genius in the weapons industry. He used his gaze to convey his sincerity, hoping that the other party could understand his urgent feelings at this moment. Guagua was his own daughter. She was Ruan Qingxuang's sweetheart. She was the little princess that Chou Yun would protect with her life. She was Qin Wan Er's little treasure that she couldn't bear to part with. She was Tang Juba's sworn sister. If he, as her godfather, couldn't even protect his own daughter, how could he face them? Therefore, no matter what, Su Yun would save Guagua. Even if he had to use everything he had, he couldn't let anything happen to Guagua. Su Yun had even prepared for the worst. If no one could help him, he would go beg that person. Even if that person wanted him to use his arm to make a deal, it wouldn't be a problem. Fortunately, Su Yun brought Guagua and the others to Shenzhen this time and became Bufifan's representative by accident. This ignorant, sloppy, and cynical brat actually had such a close relationship with the world-famous Kevin Matthew by accident. Everything seemed to be destined. Guagua was destined to not be able to escape this disaster, and the people around her were destined to help her solve this crisis. Finally, Kevin Matthew said to Su Yun, I need someone with a big heart to do things according to my instructions. I need someone who is decisive and not indecisive. If you can, pick up the scissors in your hand now and follow my instructions. Su Yun nodded and picked up the scissors in the toolbox. Don't worry, I will definitely follow your instructions without any hesitation. I'm ready to start at any time. Very good. Kevin Matthew was very satisfied with Su Yun's answer. He needed such a determined person to complete this task. I'll give you a rough idea first. You have to be mentally prepared. There are 15 wires in this wrist balm, 5 different colors. You have to cut them in the order I tell you, and you have to be very fast. Once you cut the first wire, you can't cut the next wire for more than 2 seconds. The speed of my speech might take up 1 second, so I need you to finish it within 1 second after you hear my order. You have to cut 15 wires in a row to eliminate the possibility of the wrist bomb exploding. Once the possibility of the explosion is eliminated, you can take this thing off at will. You understand what I mean, right? There can't be any mistakes during the whole process. Otherwise, not only will the girl be hurt, but you will also be in danger because you are too close to it. Kevin Matthew only said this, but Bufifen's forehead and neck were already covered in a thin layer of sweat. After all, he was not old enough to bear such a huge pressure. Without a certain level of determination, he would not be able to bear such a strong pressure. After hearing this, it was impossible for anyone not to be nervous. However, Su Yun, who was used to all kinds of dangerous situations, did not show it at all. He just nodded quietly and said, "No problem." What kind of confidence and momentum was this? Kevin Matthew could not help but admire Su Yun a little more. He knew that this kind of person was a person who could achieve great things. He was also a person who had seen the world. "Wait a minute," Guagua said, "but why can't you tell my dad the order of the wires to be cut first? My dad will cut them in order after he knows. Won't the success rate be higher this way? What do you think?" Bufifen raised his eyebrows. Yes, why didn't they think of such a simple reason? They were not as clear-headed as a 6 or 7-year-old girl. How embarrassing. "Yes, master. Won't our success rate be higher this way? It'll be safer. Remember the order first, then finish it in one go." Kevin Matthew smiled but did not say anything. Su Yun said lightly, "If that's possible, I believe Kevin will think of it. Since he said that he wants to do it, there must be a reason for it. Don't add to the trouble. Go guard the door and don't let anyone in to disturb us. I like to work with smart people." Kevin Matthew smiled slightly. "That's right. I only know that I have to cut the longest and thickest white wire first. Then, according to the cut section of the wire, I have to determine what to cut next. Actually, I prefer people from Huaxia to call me Matthew." Su Yun could see that Kevin Matthew was friendly and said sincerely, "Matthew, my name is Su Yun. I should be a few years older than you. If you don't mind, I'll call you brother." "Of course not," Kevin Matthew said. Then, he sat in front of the computer and carefully stared at the wires in the wrist bomb. "Then, let's start now." Su Yun took a deep breath and calmed himself down. Guagua smiled at Su Yun sensibly, giving Su Yun confidence with her trust. Bufifen obediently went to guard the door. Although there were no outsiders in the house, if Ruan Qingxuang suddenly knocked on the door and made Su Yun hesitate, it could bring danger to Guagua. Seeing that Su Yun was ready, Kevin Matthew signaled, "The thickest white wire on the far left. When you're ready, just cut it short. I'm ready to give you a hint." Su Yun nodded. He resolutely picked up the scissors in his hand and cut the white wire without hesitation. Almost at the same time as Su Yun cut the wire, Kevin Matthew had already blurted out, "The second yellow wire on the left." Su Yun's scissors danced in the air and quickly cut the second yellow wire on the left. Kevin Matthew still yelled out immediately, "The first green wire on the left." Su Yun didn't stop and quickly caught up with Kevin Matthew's rhythm. Although it was the first time the two worked together, they were very skilled. Su Yun's speed was definitely much faster than the average person's. Kevin Matthew couldn't help but be a little surprised. The two of them, one reading and the other cutting, cooperated seamlessly. In 26 seconds, Kevin Matthew and Su Yun got rid of the damn thing on Guagua's wrist. "Phew, done. Now this thing won't explode again. You can take it off and throw it away, or keep it as a souvenir." Kevin Matthew smiled. He admired Su Yun very much. From beginning to end, there wasn't even a drop of sweat on his forehead. "Brother Yun, it's nice to meet you." Su Yun exerted strength in his fingers and directly broke the wrist-shaped bomb on Guagua's wrist and threw it aside. Hearing Kevin Matthew's words, Su Yun was stunned for a moment. "It's nice to meet you too, Brother Matthew. Thank you very much for this matter. I'll definitely remember this kindness. If you need anything in the future, just say the word and Su Yun will go through water and tread on fire for you." Kevin Matthew smiled slightly. "Brother Yun, let me make it clear first. I definitely didn't make friends with you to make use of you. I just feel that you're right for me. But in the future, Maybe I really do need your help with something. No problem. Su-yun. He had heard some things about Kevin Matthew. He didn't participate in any country's affairs now because he still couldn't figure out which country's agents killed his father. He didn't work for any country because he didn't want to have the possibility of helping his enemy. Now that Kevin Matthew had opened his mouth, maybe he wanted to let Su-yun help him with something if there was a chance in the future. I'm a person who can't hide anything. Kevin Matthew said, I can see that, Brother Yun, you're definitely not an ordinary person. I've seen many FBI agents. Your determination and calmness are even above many of them. If I'm not wrong, you're a person who has seen the world and experienced big events. Faintly, I have a feeling that our intersection is definitely not just this time. Su-yun was stunned. Kevin Matthews' father could be said to be a very famous spy in the world. Of course, his identity was only revealed after his death. Su-yun had never seen this legendary spy before, but he had indeed interacted with some of the most famous spies in the world. But their identities were fake. Even if Su-yun had contact with Kevin Matthews' father, he probably wouldn't remember it himself. After all, with today's technology, human skin masks were quite mature. As a super-professional spy who traveled around more than a dozen countries, Kevin Matthews' father had more than a dozen faces. Perhaps even Kevin Matthew himself might not recognize his father's appearance. Of course, these things were in the past. Even if something happened in the future, it would be another story. Kevin Matthew hadn't given up on the investigation of his father's death, but he had been struggling to find any clues. He didn't know why, but when Kevin Matthew saw Su-yun, he had an inexplicable impulse. From Su-yun's concentration and skills, Kevin Matthew could conclude that Su-yun was definitely not an ordinary person. Of course, he also knew that Su-yun might be an underworld master, but the temperament of an underworld master was absolutely different from Su-yun's. Su-yun's domineering aura didn't have the slightest trace of bandit intent. It was because of Su-yun's aura that Kevin Matthew dared to conclude that Su-yun shouldn't be someone from the underworld. For an expert like Su-yun, if he wasn't from the underworld, he must have an inseparable relationship with the special department. Therefore, Kevin Matthew vaguely felt that Su-yun might be of help to him in his investigation of his father's death. But this wasn't the reason why Kevin Matthew wanted to make friends with Su-yun. He wanted to make friends with Su-yun because he valued Su-yun's calmness in handling matters. He really rarely met such a person. To some extent, Kevin Matthew could recognize Bufifan because Bufifan had the potential to grow into a person like Su-yun, while Su-yun was already a real man with an indomitable spirit. He liked to make friends with such people because his father was such a person. If there's nothing else, then I'm going to have breakfast. Kevin Matthew smiled and said to Bufifan, Your godfather is really a good person. Bufifan was stunned and hurriedly explained, Master, he has nothing to do with me. Who said that he's my godfather? He's my sister's godfather. Don't accuse me of anything. You call her sister, and she calls him father. You call me master, and I call him Brother Yun. What do you think I should call him? If it's not godfather, then it's martial uncle. Kevin Matthew laughed heartily. This is your good fortune, kid. Don't be so silly and ungrateful. Chapter 599. Guagua didn't agree to let Kevin Matthew leave. She hurriedly said, Guagua will remember Uncle Matthew's kindness to Guagua. But there's one more thing. Sister Cho Yun also has this thing. Can you help her deal with it when she comes back? I'll do whatever you want, but you must help me, Cho Yun. Kevin Matthew smiled and said, Guagua, trust your dad. He is not an ordinary person. After what happened just now, he must have understood the principle behind the explosion of this wrist bomb. As long as the inner color and thickness of the wires are cut off, he will be able to determine which circuit will be used to activate the explosion. Although this high-tech thing is said to be bulletproof, it is just a paper tiger in front of people who really understand the principle. Su-yun smiled modestly. He did know the principle behind this thing. Just as Kevin Matthew said, it was really easy for people who knew how to do it. He fully believed that he had the ability to deal with the thing on Cho Yun's wrist. When Bufifan heard this, his admiration for Su Yun became even more uncontrollable. One had to know that Kevin Matthew was the person he admired the most. He was the most powerful master in his heart. He was the craziest genius in the world of weapons. He was a talent that many heads of state wanted to use. Kevin Matthew gave Su Yun such a high evaluation. For Bu Fifan, only a super incredible person could possibly receive such high praise from his master. Kevin Matthew was a godlike existence to Bu Fifan, but to Su Yun, they seemed to be on the same level as people in the world. In that case, Su Yun was really extraordinary. Bu Fifan couldn't help but exhale. And he really cared about him. Even at a time like this, she still found such an arrogant guy to be his guardian to ensure his safety and life. He really didn't know what he could do to repay Aunt Yi. For a 13-year-old child, this gratitude could only be buried deep in his heart. After Kevin Matthew said goodbye to everyone, he turned off the video call. At this time, Ruan Qingshuang, who had made many delicious dishes, came upstairs and knocked on Bu Fifan's door. "What are you doing? Are you still eating? The food is cold. It won't taste good if it's cold." Without the threat of the bomb, Guagua seemed to have changed. She ran out like crazy and threw herself into Ruan Qingshuang's arms. No matter what Mom makes, no matter how cold it is, in Guagua's heart, it's the most delicious thing. But we should wait for Sister Cho Yun. She'll be back soon. After saying that, Guagua pulled Bu Fifan like the main character of this house. "Let's go, little brother Bu. Let me tell you, my mom's cooking is definitely not something ordinary people can taste. I saw that you didn't eat anything before. You only cared about drinking. The good food was shared by your friends. You can't miss it." Guagua's enthusiasm made Bu Fifan feel a little embarrassed. It was as if he was a guest in his house. He hurriedly said politely, "No, no, no. Don't be like this. I'm embarrassed. I just ate it. I really ate it. Don't be so polite. Just treat it as your own house," Guagua said generously. "Your stomach is growling. Don't lie to me. You definitely want to eat." Bu Fifan was speechless at his younger sister, who was a few years younger than him. What did she mean by treating this place as her own home? Wasn't this his own house? Bu Fifan didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He could only be dragged downstairs by Guagua. Su Yun was very pleased to see that these two little guys could get along so quickly. After all, Guagua and Bu Fifan were both little guys that he had to discipline in the future. The two of them were in the same school. Guagua could definitely help Su Yun look after Bu Fifan. It would be even better if Bu Fifan could also take care of Guagua in school. After Su Yun settled the matter with Hades' King Leng Chen, Guagua would no longer need Cho Yun to accompany her to school. She could be like an ordinary child. Cho Yun, who had finished dealing with the aftermath, finally rushed back. When she entered the door and saw that the wrist bomb had disappeared from Guagua's wrist, her mind went blank for a long time. She even thought that she was dreaming. Soon, Su Yun used the same method to remove the wrist bomb from Cho Yun's wrist. Seeing Su Yun's skillful appearance, Bu Fifan's respect for him increased a little. As a child, their thoughts were very simple. Even a monster like Guagua knew what it meant to be amazing. She was also very shocked after seeing her father's godlike performance. After everything was done, Su Yun could finally put down the big stone in his heart. Now, he could finally have a good night's sleep. Ruan Qingshuang had been kept in the dark all this time. She had no idea what they were doing. Because she didn't know, she wasn't as worried as Guagua. After the family finished eating, Su Yun introduced Bu Fifan to everyone. Originally, Bu Fifan didn't accept these people living in his house. However, due to his respect for Su Yun, Ruan Qingshuang was an indispensable person in the management of Xinkai Hotel, and Guagua was so cute. All these factors made Bu Fifan's attitude change a lot. If he had to say something that made him uncomfortable, it would be that Cho Yun was too cold to him. She was so cold that he didn't know how to get close to her. When Bu Fifan first came here, he was also like this. He also used his cold personality as a protective umbrella, as the first line of defense to prevent outsiders from getting close to him. However, as time passed, he found that being cold wasn't the best way to protect himself. Sometimes, friends could not only bring him laughter, but also a feeling of care. This feeling allowed Bufifen to find a long-lost sense of existence. It was very difficult to live without a sense of existence. It was because of Yi Fala's care for his family and his friends at school that Bufifen gradually found a sense of existence in life. From a walking corpse, he became a thinking person. Guagua's blabbering always made everyone feel embarrassed, but it also brought endless joy to them. Ruan Qingxuang's gentleness and thoughtfulness were like the warmth of the sun. Chou Yun's cold and elegant temperament allowed Bufifen to see Yi Fala's shadow. Su Yun's mysteriousness deeply aroused Bufifen's curiosity. Bufifen really liked the feeling of chatting with everyone. He admitted that his protective umbrella for these people was beginning to fall off layer by layer. "It's winter break. How are you going to spend it?" Ruan Qingxuang said, "Guagua, you already have enough meat on your body. Are you going to go on a diet during the break? Go to the hotel with Mom, work out in the gym, and practice yoga with a yoga instructor." Guagua looked down at her small waist and pinched her small face. "I can go on a diet, that's not a problem. But, what if it affects the development of my breasts in the future? A woman's cleavage is very important to a woman." As she said that, Guagua looked at Ruan Qingxuang and Chou Yun's breasts and muttered to herself, "I don't want to be the smallest among you. Let me think about who should be the smallest. Let's not talk about this, or I'll offend people. But, the biggest one is definitely Sister Wan. Even Dad said that she has big breasts but no brain. Hee. She must be the biggest. I believe in Dad's judgment." Su Yun's face was full of black lines. Guagua really gave him a headache. When he was not with her, he would miss her. When he was really with her, she would always say some inexplicable things to embarrass him. Alas, luckily Qin Wan'er was not here. Otherwise, who knew how she would scold Su Yun? Although saying that she had big breasts was a compliment, adding that she had no brain was a different thing. It had been a long time since he was this relaxed. However, after relaxing, Su Yun also considered other things. Although the Miaodao had been taken care of by Chou Yun, according to Hell King Lang Chen's personality, he would definitely not let it go. If he really found out about Guagua's secret from Green Ghost, he would definitely make a comeback. This was not good news for Su Yun. He had to make sufficient preparations before Lang Chen caused trouble again. "Going to a hotel is a good idea. How about this? We'll all move to a hotel. First, we can learn about hotel management. Second, we can let Guagua lose weight. Third, Chou Yun can do some steaming and beauty massages in the hotel to relax. Su Yun. Fourth, of course, I can also see beautiful women. There are many beautiful women coming in and out of Xingkai every day. It really is a scenic spot in Shenzhen." When Ruan Qingxuang heard this, she couldn't help but say, "That's right, it is indeed a scenic spot in Shenzhen. However, I want to think of a way to cut off this scenic spot. I don't want this kind of unhealthy atmosphere to appear in Xingkai Hotel. Perhaps it can bring a lot of benefits to Xingkai, but it's also against the country's laws." Su Yun was stunned. What did she mean? Could it be? You're saying that those girls come to the hotel to do that? I'm not sure right now because there seems to be a lot of things that I don't know about Xingkai. Ruan Qingxuang said, "However, there are some girls who frequently come in and out. They frequently appear in cafes and guest rooms. They like to go in and out with all kinds of rich and handsome men. They also appear next to foreigners and some bosses who go out for business trips." Understood. Su Yun nodded. You're saying that those girls are peripheral women who use the fact that Xingkai won't be checked by the police to do some physical transactions. Am I right? Ruan Qingxuang nodded. I'm just suspecting. If they're peripheral women and have arranged to meet each other at the hotel, we can't do anything about it. However, I suspect that there are people in the hotel who use their positions to organize this kind of thing. Su Yun suddenly understood and nodded. Then we have even more reason to go to the hotel and clean up the unhealthy atmosphere in the hotel. What do you think? Of course. For the sake of social morality, for the sake of social justice, and for the sake of not being seduced by that vixen. Guagua was filled with righteous indignation. We have to get rid of those bad women. Bu Fifan also nodded. I should learn from Sister Shuang about hotel management. I also agree with Sister Guagua's point of view. Chapter 600. Because of Bu Fifan's childhood experience, he liked to pretend to be mature in front of others. Ruan Qingxuang's words made Bu Fifan stand there and stare at her for a while. Finally, he gathered his courage and called out to Ruan Qingxuang, Aunt Shuang. Ruan Qingxuang was the second person Bu Fifan called out to. The first was Yi Fala. The two of them used different methods to make him feel care and warmth. Bu Fifan felt that maybe he could really fit in with them. The feeling of having a family was always better than being alone. He had already experienced the feeling of being alone a long time ago. Ruan Qingxuang and Guagua made him feel the feeling of home again. Call me Daddy. Su Yun joked proudly at Bu Fifan. Bu Fifan's expression changed. If it wasn't for Su Yun, he would have already turned hostile. He had almost beaten a classmate who joked with him in school to death. In Bu Fifan's dictionary, this kind of joke was not allowed. Perhaps the word daddy was a taboo word in his dictionary. Perhaps Su Yun saw Bu Fifan's ugly expression, so he didn't continue to tease him. Although Bu Fifan was still a child, his pride was at its peak. Some jokes should be stopped when they went too far. If he really angered a child at this age, it would be very difficult to coax him. Guagua didn't think so. She saw the struggle in Bu Fifan's heart, but she looked at the problem from the perspective of a little girl. Guagua smiled and held Bu Fifan's arm. Little brother Bu, from now on, my mommy will be your mommy, my daddy will be your daddy, and you will be my big brother. Although I don't know why you feel conflicted, I am sure that you have a past that you don't want to talk about. Bu Fifan was very fond of this little sister. He smiled at Guagua in a friendly manner. Guagua, you didn't experience what happened to me, so you can't understand my heart. I am a child who lost my parents when I was young and had to scavenge on the streets. The humiliation I suffered is something you can't imagine. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said this. I'm going back to my room. The inhumane treatment that Bu Fifan had endured in his small body was heart-wrenching. Those who lived with their parents would never be able to understand the pain in his heart. Ruan Qingxuang couldn't hold back her tears. How could a soft-hearted person like her bear a child's childhood? Wait a minute. Guagua said sternly, are you really going to leave like this? Do you think you're the only pitiful person in the world? I'm the same as you. I don't even know what my parents looked like before they left me. You can't imagine what happened to my family. My grandfather loved me so much. I was pampered since I was young, but I still ended up living on the streets with Cho Yun. Later on, I couldn't even find Sister Cho Yun. I was so hungry that I even wanted to look for food in the trash. If my mother didn't find me at the trash station that day, I might have eaten that piece of bread that had just been eaten by a rat. As she spoke, Guagua's voice became softer and softer. Bu Fifan's eyes widened. He could not believe that the little sister in front of him, who was supposed to be wealthy, no matter how he looked at it, had such a miserable experience. Guagua had never told anyone about her experiences. She had never told anyone that she was so hungry that she even had to scavenge for food. Cho Yun heard this for the first time. Her heart felt like it was being squeezed by someone. She couldn't help but turn her face away from the pain. She didn't want anyone to see her eyes turn red. Ruan Qingxuang couldn't care less. Tears fell down her cheeks. She treated Guagua as her own daughter. That day, she found Guagua at the trash station. She didn't expect Guagua to be so hungry. Even Su Yun, who didn't know what tears tasted like, couldn't help but feel a strong sourness in his nose. How many things could Guagua's small body withstand that even adults couldn't bear? As adults, they couldn't imagine and experience it. Maybe this was the fate between Su Yun and Guagua. Or maybe it was the fate between him and Bu Fifan. No one can live a smooth life. I'm no exception. Su Yun smiled. I'm also an orphan. My parents might not be dead, but I've never seen them. I don't even know what they do or where they are. It's better to know that they're dead. I'm more like an abandoned child. At least your parents didn't choose to leave you. If they were still alive, they would definitely protect you. My parents are still alive, but I can't find them. Haha. I've survived all these years, haven't I? Su Yun's words made Guagua and Bu Fifan forget to breathe. In comparison, Su Yun seemed to be even more unlucky than them. Su Yun wanted them to know that they should never think that they were miserable. There were many people in the world who were more miserable than them. It's just that you don't know where your parents are. They're much better than me. Cho Yun, who had always been a woman of few words, took the initiative to speak today. At least they didn't sell you to human traffickers and send you to that dark place. There's only killing and blood. If you want to live, you have to kill all your friends who were sold to that place. I don't remember what I did when I was young. I only remember that for a few years, I kept doing things against my will. I followed the orders of someone I've never met. I did things that I didn't want to do. Ruan Qingxuang suddenly felt that she was the luckiest. She was only forced to marry by her parents after she grew up. At least she had a complete family when she was young. Someone once said that no matter how great you think you are, there will always be people who are better than you. No matter how unfortunate you think you are, there will always be people who are more unfortunate than you. The world is big. Anything can exist and happen. Our misfortune is just a drop in the ocean. Su Yun looked at the night sky outside the window. The universe is so big. Maybe there are people on other planets who are struggling to survive. The smog of Huaxia had made people realize that it was time to wake up. The blue sky and white clouds when they were young had now become a luxury. Almost every day was foggy. It was just like someone said that 10 years later, the 3 major cancers of Huaxia would plague every family. They were liver cancer, lung cancer, and stomach cancer. Liver cancer was probably caused by the heavily polluted groundwater. Lung cancer was caused by the worsening air they breathed every day. Stomach cancer was caused by the chemical additives and various black-hearted merchants' food. It was a kind of luck to be able to live in the present. When the last drop of water for the people on earth was their own tears, that was the real misfortune. The emotions that Bu Fifan had been suppressing in his heart seemed to be released in an instant. He was able to stand here, be able to be adopted by Yifala, and be able to know Su Yun, Guagua, and the others. It was God's great affection for him. Compared to those who were really unlucky, his small matter was nothing. It was just a drop in the ocean of bitterness. Thank you. Bu Fifan raised his lowered head. I must have reminded you of a lot of things that you don't want to think about. I'm really sorry. I'm too pretentious. I'm too selfish. I'm too irresponsible. I can't bear it. I complain about God's unfairness every day, but I don't see God's favor for me. I'm really wrong too much. Su Yun stepped forward and patted Bu Fifan on the shoulder. Okay, don't blame yourself. You're being pretentious too. Guagua, what did Imperial Concubine Hua say? Bitches are pretentious. Guagua said without hesitation. After a few seconds of silence, everyone in the room couldn't help bursting into laughter from the bottom of their hearts. Even Bu Fifan, who had been scolded as a hypocritical B*TCH, was also immersed in the joyful atmosphere. Good times always passed very quickly. Guagua fell asleep unknowingly. Ruan Qingxuang carried her back to the room to sleep. Bu Fifan also went back to the room obediently. He had no intention of going out to the bar to drink and enjoy the nightlife. Even when his friends called more than a dozen times, he politely refused. After everyone else fell asleep, Cho Yun came to Su Yun's room. Su Yun, who had just taken a shower, was only wearing underpants. However, in front of Cho Yun, Su Yun didn't mind. They were all family. There was no need to be so restrained. I was still thinking. If you didn't come over, I would have gone to find you. Cho Yun shook her head. My mind is in a mess. I never thought that Guagua's matter would provoke Hades' King Leng Chen. Today, Miao Dao wanted to take us to Hades' King Island. Maybe next time, it will be poisonous Ant Huang Yu, or even bloodthirsty Mole Yang Yi, who's more powerful. Su Yun shrugged. Things are already like this. There's no turning back time. Otherwise, I would have seen Green Ghost die with my own eyes. Hee, maybe Lang Chen already knows Guagua's secret. It's just that he can't be sure. I don't know if Green Ghost is lying to him again. If he really trusts Green Ghost 100%, I'm afraid he would have already come to find trouble with us. Then what should we do? Cho Yun really didn't have any ideas. We can't just sit here and wait for death. That's why I said to go to the hotel first. No one can say for sure if this place is safe or not. If Lang Chen really throws Yang Yi and Huang Yu over, I'm afraid we won't be able to handle it. Even if we can't provoke them, we can still hide. There will always be a way. At least for now, we're safe. I wonder how Chong's drug addiction is now. I'll call them tomorrow and ask them to come over. Cho Yun knew that Su Yun had his own ideas, so she didn't say anything. However, she suddenly walked to Su Yun's bedside. After sitting down with her back facing Su Yun, she took off her top without any hesitation, revealing her flawless back, which was as white as mutton fat jade, in front of Su Yun. Chapter 601. What are you thinking about? Cho Yun glared at him and said angrily, when I was fighting with Miao Dao, I was hit by his palm. Although it was on my back and shoulder blade, the pain had already spread throughout my body along with my nerves. I'm afraid his palm strength is definitely not weaker than Green Ghost's. Last time when I was almost killed by Green Ghost's palm, it was you who saved my life. I'm afraid I still need your help this time. Su Yun's gaze stopped on Cho Yun's back. After a while he said helplessly, Green Ghost and Miao Dao are indeed super experts, and Miao Dao's strength is indeed above Green Ghost's. However, the reason why Green Ghost's palm strength was able to hurt you was entirely because of the 7 wounds palm he practiced. Green Ghost relied on his 7 wounds palm to be able to make a name for himself in the underground world. However, Miao Dao is different. Although his strength is above Green Ghost's, his martial arts and palm strength are definitely not as good as Green Ghost's. The reason why he can stand on the underground world's expert list is because of the 7-inch wide short knife in his hand. Just as Cho Yun was about to put on her clothes, Su Yun stopped her. For insurance, Su Yun felt that it was better to take a look. What he said just now was to comfort Cho Yun and not to have any psychological pressure and burden. These were all small matters, and there was no need to worry too much. Originally, their mental pressure was already great enough. Su Yun did not want to add more psychological burden to Cho Yun. After a careful examination, Su Yun could conclude that Cho Yun's palm was not serious, but she would more or less suffer some internal injuries. Anyway, Su Yun did not lack those elixirs to heal internal injuries. A few of them would be enough to let Cho Yun recover in a short period of time. These were all small matters. Ruan Qingxuang, who had just coaxed Guagua to sleep, was not sleepy. She got up and left the room to find Su Yun. Hearing Su Yun and Cho Yun's voices in the room, Ruan Qingxuang did not knock on the door. She directly opened the door and walked in, wanting to chat with them. But as soon as she came in, she was dumbfounded. When Su Yun checked Cho Yun's injuries, Cho Yun was not wearing a shirt. After experiencing Su Yun's treatment last time, Cho Yun no longer had any vigilance in front of Su Yun, so she did not have so many scruples. She never thought that Ruan Qingxuang would suddenly appear in front of them so late at night. For a moment, the atmosphere in the room was particularly awkward. No one knew how to break this frighteningly quiet atmosphere. Ruan Qingxuang's mind was blank. She had already forgotten what she was here for. She just said, "Sorry to disturb you." She directly closed the door to Su Yun's room and turned to leave. Even when she quickly walked to the balcony, her mind was still blank. The cold winter night wind blew Ruan Qingxuang's thoughts very clearly. She was very clear about what she saw. Although Ruan Qingxuang kept telling herself that if she wanted to like Su Yun, she should not think about monopolizing him. It was not that she could not see that the other girls around her had special feelings for Su Yun. Although some things could not be described with words, everyone was very clear in their hearts. Even though Ruan Qingxuang had prepared for everything, she still could not accept that Su Yun and Cho Yun took off their clothes in the room on their first day back. No matter what, everyone's love was selfish. Ruan Qingxuang had done her best to be generous, but she still could not calm down the waves in her heart. Seeing Ruan Qingxuang close the door and leave, Su Yun's mind was completely blank. What the hell was this? Even if it was a misunderstanding, how could it be so coincidental? Cho Yun had put on her clothes within 3 seconds. Cho Yun quickly put on her clothes and did not say anything to Su Yun. She quickly opened the door and walked out of the room. After seeing Ruan Qingxuang on the balcony, she quickly walked forward. She reached out to close the window and said to Ruan Qingxuang, "Sister Ruan Qingxuang, it's cold at night. Don't catch a cold." Ruan Qingxuang did not speak. Her eyes were still looking into the distance, empty. Nobody knew what she was thinking. "It's not what you think. I just wanted Su Yun to help me check my injuries." Cho Yun said, "Don't think too much. I know my own identity. I won't have anything to do with Su Yun. Sister Qingxuang, you are Guoguo's and my benefactor. I will wish you happiness." Ruan Qingxuang did not expect Cho Yun to say such words. She was stunned on the spot. After a while, she came back to her senses. "I don't mean anything else. Cho Yun, why did you say that? We are a family. I have never thought about your identity. We are all the same." Cho Yun shook her head. "No, Sister Qingxuang. My life was given by Feng Qian Sui, which means it belongs to Guoguo. My life is long gone. I am living now to be grateful and repay. I will only use my life to protect Guoguo and love Guoguo. I will not waste it on any man. Even if that man is Su Yun, I will not." "Why?" Ruan Qingxuang said, "Why do you treat yourself like this? Don't you think it is very cruel to yourself? If Guoguo knows that you are only living for her, do you think she will be happy? Guoguo is a kind child. I believe that she will not want the people she cares about to have such a mentality. Everyone has the right to live for themselves." Cho Yen didn't say anything. She looked at the brightly lit city outside the window. After a while, she said, "I've never lived for myself since I was young. From the moment I was sold by my parents, I've been living for the sake of survival. When I finally walked out of the threat of death, I began to live for various tasks. In fact, I should have died 6 years ago, but Feng Qian Sui gave me a chance to live. From then on, I began to find that I like this feeling. I like to live for the Feng family. It makes me feel fulfilled. I understand your love for Guoguo. It is not only your feelings for Guoguo, but also your gratitude to the Feng family." Ruan Qingxuang said, "But have you ever thought about Guoguo? If she knows that you are not living for yourself, but for her, she will be very painful." This sentence was like a needle that pierced Cho Yun's heart. For the first time, she felt so shocked. For so many years, Guoguo treated Cho Yun as her sister. No matter if it was good or bad, happy or sad, Guoguo would share it with her. Unconsciously, Guoguo became the most important part of Cho Yun's life. Everything Cho Yun did was for Guoguo to be better. Guoguo did not know that she had become Cho Yun's spiritual sustenance. Without Guoguo, Cho Yun could not even find a reason to live. At the moment when Su Yun appeared, Cho Yun began to realize that her spiritual sustenance was not just Guoguo alone. Occasionally, when she was free, Su Yun's figure would appear in her mind. This was the first man who walked into her world. Since forever, Cho Yun's concept of time, all men in the world were not good. The organization she was in was all about assassinating those heartless rich men. Therefore, in Cho Yun's eyes, all men were that kind of unfaithful trash. Su Yun's appearance changed her concept. She still clearly remembered the first time she met Su Yun. She also clearly remembered the life-saving elixirs that Su Yun gave her. She also clearly remembered how Su Yun helped her use silver needles to force out the blood clots in her body that were injured by Green Ghost. Of course, Su Yun was also a normal man. When he saw her body, he would be in a daze and stare blankly. He would even have times when his imagination would run wild. However, in the end, he could use his rationality to control his actions. Su Yun would be very clear about his purpose in doing anything, and would not be unable to control himself because of his lack of determination. Everything made Cho Yun unconsciously change her view of all men in the world because of Su Yun. Over time, Cho Yun finally discovered that Su Yun had a huge influence on her. This influence was definitely not just a little bit. However, even so, Cho Yun never asked for anything. She only treated Su Yun as the person who appeared in her life and could change her path. She never thought of having him. And Su Yun gave her and Guagua a chance to survive again and again. Over time, Cho Yun also regarded Su Yun as the person who was as important as Guagua in her life. She could give up everything at any time for Su Yun and Guagua, including her own life, and she would never regret it. Cho Yun's thoughts drifted far away before she suddenly came back to her senses. She came to enlighten Ruan Qing Shuang, but she did not expect that she would be enlightened by Ruan Qing Shuang. Sister Qing Shuang, thank you. You are the only people in my life who really care about me besides Feng Chen Sui and Guagua. Cho Yun said, I have been very vigilant before. I was afraid that you would take away Guagua and my spiritual sustenance. Now I finally understand that you treat me as a family member. Ruan Qing Shuang smiled and said to Cho Yun, silly sister, you are our family. We are a family that will never be separated, really. I only know about your childhood today. I hope you can let go of the past and leave all the unpleasant memories behind. Now, do what you like to do and like the person you like. Cho Yun looked at Ruan Qing Shuang and asked bravely, Sister Qing Shuang, don't you like Su Yun very much? Of course I like him. Ruan Qing Shuang did not mean to avoid it at all. He helped me when I was in trouble. He helped me to give Guagua a better environment and gave me a foothold. He gave me the courage to live and face difficulties. He changed me and gave me confidence. I have no reason not to like him. Then you said those things to me. Cho Yun did not understand. Ruan Qing Shuang said generously, who said that I can't let others like what I like? You like Guagua, so do I. I like Su Yun, so why can't you like him? It's not like he's my personal possession. Not only you, there are many people who like Su Yun. You know that Tang Jiu, all of them like Su Yun. Although the relationship between men and women is selfish, I have no right to stop others from liking Su Yun because of my selfishness. None of us have the right, do we? Cho Yun did not expect Ruan Qing Shuang to be such an open-minded person. For the first time, she smiled at Ruan Qing Shuang from the bottom of her heart. She had only smiled at 3 people before: Feng Chen Sui, Guagua, and Su Yun. Ruan Qing Shuang was the 4th. Chapter 602. While the 2 women were talking outside, Su Yun was restless in the room. He didn't know how to explain it. Su Yun wasn't a fool. How could he not see what someone was doing to him? Ruan Qing Shuang's undisguised concern and Cho Yun's deliberate avoidance of concern, Su Yun understood. But he still couldn't guess what the 2 were talking about outside. Su Yun wasn't worried about Cho Yun. He was worried about Ruan Qing Shuang. Perhaps in Su Yun's eyes, Ruan Qing Shuang wasn't as strong as Cho Yun. But that wasn't the case. A woman's mind was like a needle at the bottom of the sea. Even a shrewd person like Su Yun couldn't guess a woman's mind. The world was so wonderful. Finally, the sound of chatting outside disappeared. Ruan Qing Shuang and Cho Yun came to Su Yun's door and said good night to him. Seeing the 2's peaceful expression, Su Yun's mood couldn't be calm. What had happened? Who could tell him? He really didn't understand how the relationship between Ruan Qing Shuang and Cho Yun suddenly deepened a lot. And Cho Yun seemed to have taken off a big burden. What did Ruan Qing Shuang say to Cho Yun? This was a very important reason why Su Yun couldn't sleep at night. At this moment, Su Yun's admiration for Ruan Qing Shuang was absolutely from the heart. She could even handle Cho Yun. This was simply an incredible thing. Forget it. A man like him would never understand a woman's world. It was better to go to sleep. Don't try to guess a girl's thoughts. No matter how you try, you still won't understand. Humming a little tune, Soo-yoon finally fell asleep at an unknown time. However, it was definitely not early. This was because when he woke up the next morning, his eyes were still very sore. It was completely a sign of a lack of sleep. Since they decided to stay at the hotel for a while, Ruan Qingxuang woke up in the morning and took out all the food that could be used from the fridge. After the sumptuous breakfast, everyone packed their necessities. The women mostly brought clothes. Soo-yoon still had his own backpack. Guagua only brought some textbooks. Bu Fifan was even simpler. He brought a Dell Alien laptop and 2 sets of clothes. Ruan Qingxuang drove Soo-yoon's black Cayenne with Cho Yun and Guagua. Soo-yoon drove the Zhang brothers' Grand Cherokee with Bu Fifan. The 2 cars went straight to Xinkai Hotel. After sleeping for a night, the barrier between Bu Fifan and Soo-yoon lessened a lot. The thorns on his body seemed to have disappeared. Old Soo, this is the first time I've seen my master like someone so much. How did you do it? From what my master said, you're not an ordinary person. Old Soo? Soo-yoon was stunned for a moment. He didn't know whether to laugh or cry. This was the first time someone called him that. It made him feel like he was 20 years older. But thinking about it, he really didn't know what Bu Fifan should call him. He couldn't really call him daddy like Guagua, right? Or should he call him Uncle Soo like Ifala? These 2 titles didn't seem appropriate. Anyway, Soo-yoon wasn't someone who cared about these things. He could call him whatever he wanted. It didn't matter. Whether I'm an ordinary person or not, I hit it off with your master, Matthew. But I'm quite curious. How did you get to know him? Bu Fifan shrugged his shoulders. Of course I hit it off with my master. I met him on the World Military Network Forum. Although he commented on all kinds of new weapons under many different aliases, I could recognize them at a glance. His views are very unique. I admire him a lot. As long as he commented on something, no matter what aliases he used, I would reply to him. Over time, he started to follow me. Then, we added each other as friends on MSN. That's when I found out that he was Kevin Matthew. I was dumbfounded and insisted on acknowledging him as my master. He couldn't persuade me and could only agree. F*CK, that works too? Soo-yoon's jaw almost dropped to the ground. This was too exaggerated. How thick-skinned are you? Why did you have to rely on him for him to agree to be your master? How can you say that I'm thick-skinned? I'm being sincere. Kevin Matthew is the person I admire the most. As long as he's willing to be my master, I don't mind being thick-skinned. Bu Fifan was quite open-minded. As long as I can learn something from him, it's fine. Soo-yoon, you like weapons that much? Of course. I've loved weapons since I was young. If I had the means to collect them, I would definitely collect all the weapons in the world. Bu Fifan said, I only know a little about the theoretical stuff now. Actually, I envy soldiers. They can definitely play with whatever weapons they want. Soo-yoon smiled. What do you think the army is? You can get whatever you want. You just have to use whatever the army gives you. Even if you're given a weapon that has been obsolete for a long time, you still have to use it to complete the mission given to you by the army. It's not like the army will buy any advanced weapon for you to study. Bu Fifan pursed his lips. Looks like I'm dreaming again. However, I still want to fulfill my wish if I have the chance. Even if I don't collect them, just looking and touching them is pretty good. If you really want to, then go to the World Hunter School. Soo-yoon said calmly, that place will definitely meet your requirements. However, I'm afraid that you won't be able to endure the hardships there. Bu Fifan immediately retorted, there's no hardships in this world that I can't endure. I've experienced all kinds of hardships since I was young. I don't believe that there's anything that can stop me. However, speaking of which, what kind of place is this World Hunter School you mentioned? Could it be that You're from that World Hunter School? Otherwise, how do you know that place can meet my requirements? Am I right? Who the hell are you? Are you a hunter? Do hunters need to go to school? Why don't you learn from the experienced hunters who have been in the mountains for many years? Su Yun could only shrug in the face of Bu Fifan's series of questions. I'm not from the World Hunter School. I've only heard about it. Also, the World Hunter School doesn't teach you how to hunt. It teaches you how to be a hunter. Do you understand? So that's what you mean. Bu Fifan seemed to understand. Then where is this World Hunter School? How can I get there? Su Yun suddenly realized that he had said too much. That's just a rumor. How would I know where the school is? You just need to graduate. Your Aunt Yi still hopes that you can get into Shenjiang University. Stop thinking about those made-up things and just do your job. Bu Fifan stopped talking. He looked out the window alone. No one knew what he was thinking. Su Yun regretted saying those things. What if this guy really wanted to go to the World Hunter School? After all, the World Hunter School didn't train normal people. The high-intensity training was no less intense than the training of the Special Forces in the Dragon Brigade. After graduating from the World Hunter School, the names of the elites in high society and the underground world were like thunder to everyone's ears. However, the death rate of the World Hunter School was also higher than any other place. Normal Special Forces had a death rate quota every year. In other words, it was possible for people to die during the training. However, the death rate of the World Hunter School could be as high as 20%. It was a terrifying number. Even so, many people still wanted to prove themselves in the World Hunter School. Those who could graduate from the World Hunter School were no ordinary people. Those who could get the badge of the World Hunter School were the elites of the elites. Even if Bu Fifan had some foundation, Su Yun didn't believe that he could survive the high-intensity training. Moreover, Bu Fifan didn't have any foundation. He was just a blank piece of paper. If he went to the World Hunter School, he would probably die. No matter what, the World Hunter School was profitable. As long as you were willing to pay, you could participate in the training regardless of your aptitude. However, the prerequisite was that the money wouldn't be refunded no matter if you died or quit. How many experts had squandered their money? There were many who quit after participating in a day's special training. What are you thinking about? Su Yun could tell that Bu Fifan was fantasizing, so he interrupted his thoughts. We'll be at the hotel soon. Get ready to bring your things. Oh, by the way, you should have a meeting with the middle management of the hotel. Let them stay alert. If they don't want to do their jobs well, they can leave. Bu Fifan glanced at Su Yun. I know that after Aunt Yi leaves, no one will be able to control them. But I can't really let them go. If they all leave, I'm afraid that the hotel won't be able to operate. Old Su, you're quite simple-minded sometimes. It's not that I'm simple-minded, but you have to understand that the Earth will continue to operate without anyone, let alone your hotel. Su Yun said, what does Hua Xia lack the most? People. It's not easy to find a three-legged toad. There are plenty of people who know how to manage a hotel. To tell you the truth, Sister Shuang and I have a hotel in Hadong City. It's not as big as Xingkai, but it's between 3 and 4 stars. If you need people, I can transfer them over any time. Su Yun surprised Bu Fifan. Really? If that's the case, that's great. I knew that they were bullying me, but I didn't dare to remove them. Hence, I could imagine that no matter what I said, they would at most deal with it. Anyway, in their eyes, I was just a little brat. They looked down on me. Old Su, if you have people, I hope you can transfer them over to help me. I'll double their salary. I'm telling the truth. They're my own people, Su Yun said. They're not here for the salary. Bu Fifan felt an inexplicable excitement in his heart. Wasn't Su Yun's feeling of having so many people responding to his call exactly what he wanted? At this moment, Su Yun was like a god in Bu Fifan's eyes. Sometimes, worship was built on one thing. It was very simple. Chapter 603. Chong was obviously very excited when he received a call from Su Yun. When Su Yun explained the purpose of the call, he was even more excited. This was the wish of all their brothers in Hadong. Since Su Yun left, in order to avoid trouble, the Hadong City Medicinal Cuisine Hotel had been transferred to other people. It was indeed a big blow to them. Now that they heard that Su Yun had gotten a 5-star hotel in a first-tier city like Shenzhen and asked them to go over to help, this news could be said to be good news from heaven. Chong completely couldn't suppress his excitement and directly jumped up. "Brother Yun, wait for me. I'll go inform the brothers right away and immediately go to Shenzhen to meet you. Be careful on the road. Also, find a trustworthy brother to look after all the chain medicinal cuisine restaurants in Hadong. After I've dealt with my own affairs, I'll take back the medicinal cuisine hotel and continue to operate it. I can't ruin the reputation of the ancestral medicinal cuisine of the Ruans." Su Yun finally specifically reminded him that to carry forward the ancestral medicinal cuisine of the Ruan Qingxuang's life goal. Su Yun would never give up her dream and goal just because she came to Shenzhen. No matter where he went, Su Yun would never forget the ancestral medicinal cuisine of the Ruans in a corner. This was also the reason why he gathered the brothers in Hadong here. "Brother, don't worry. I'll leave all this to Xiao Fei. His father's health isn't very good. He's the only son in the family and can't leave. I'll leave all the things in Hadong to him. This child is capable and responsible. More than half a year of training has trained him to be very strong. You can rest assured. Chong guaranteed." The 3 tigers of Nanqing have been talking about it for many days. They're always wondering when Brother Yun will ask us to help you. I'll inform them now. Brother Yun, just wait for us. Su Yun smiled and hung up the phone. He didn't need to say anything. He knew that the 3 guys couldn't wait. Among these people, the most impatient was probably Dan Hongning's younger brother, Dan Jiahao. This kid had big ambitions when he first followed Su Yun. He wanted to make a name for himself with Su Yun. Now that he had the opportunity to go to such a big city like Shenzhen, he must be so excited that he couldn't eat or sleep. This was also the reason why Su Yun didn't inform them last night. He was afraid that they couldn't sleep and would make a fuss about going to Shenzhen. He understood his own brothers. Su Yun knew them too well. That was why he chose to talk about this matter this morning. Everything was ready. Su Yun knew that he was about to face an even bigger threat and challenge. Shenzhen wasn't a small place like Hadong. This was a big city with hidden dragons and crouching tigers. Moreover, the people who were threatening Guagua weren't small characters like Green Ghost anymore. The real big shots like Hell King were slowly coming to the surface. Su Yun suddenly felt that his cultivation was too weak. Only when he stepped into the ranks of super experts did he understand how weak he was. This world was too big. There were too many strong people and too many experts. Perhaps half a year ago, Su Yun still felt that he had reached the realm of super experts. But now, his way of thinking had completely changed. Not to mention that it was difficult for a super expert to protect the people he wanted to protect in this world. Even a Master Realm expert wouldn't have the same assurance. After all, above the Master Realm experts, there were still those profound World Realm experts. This world was too big. There was a mountain beyond a mountain, a sky beyond a sky. This simple logic would take many people a lifetime to understand. Su Yun always thought that he was a smart person. However, when he thought about some of his thoughts, he couldn't help but want to laugh. Some of his thoughts were too simple and childish. After everyone arrived at the office, Ruan Qingxuang immediately called the housekeeping department to prepare a room. However, she didn't expect that the housekeeping department customer service would actually tell Ruan Qingxuang that she wanted to ask the supervisor. Ruan Qingxuang didn't make things difficult for her. She told her to call back after asking. However, after half an hour, Ruan Qingxuang still didn't get any response. "Looks like we've just moved in and they're already trying to intimidate us," Guagua said seriously. She had more ideas than anyone else. Of course, she knew what was going on. It looked like the people in this hotel were still very unfriendly to her mother. If she had the chance, she would definitely give them a hard time. Let me do it. After saying that, Bu Fifan picked up the phone and called the housekeeping department again. The person who answered the phone was still the same housekeeping department customer service. Bu Fifan scolded fiercely, "Pack your things immediately, go to the finance department to settle the bill, and get out. Boss Ruan asked you to prepare a room and you're so inefficient. You really don't want to work anymore." Obviously, the customer service employee on the other side of the phone was stunned. He asked doubtfully, "Who are you?" "I'm your boss," Bu Fifan said angrily, "the owner of this hotel, do you understand?" Bu Fifan. "Yi Fala is my aunt. She directly transferred this hotel to me." "What? Do you think I don't have the right to fire you?" Hearing that it was Bu Fifan, the customer service employee on the other side of the phone was shocked. Although he was only a 13-year-old child, the hotel was his. He had the power of life and death. Moreover, young people were impulsive and did not think too much before doing things. "I'm sorry, Boss Bu. I can't do anything about this. Manager Fong didn't reply to me. I've already asked." "Then let me ask you, is my position higher or is Manager Fong's position higher?" Bu Fifan roared, "Do I need Manager Fong's permission to ask for a room? Is the hotel mine or Manager Fong's? You can't even figure this out. How can you still work in the housekeeping department?" "Of course it's your position, Boss Bu." The customer service employee was already frightened. "Of course you don't need Manager Fong's permission to ask for a room." Bu Fifan snorted heavily. "Then is Boss Ruan's position higher or Manager Fong's? Isn't the reason the same? She called to ask you to make arrangements. She didn't ask you to ask for instructions from Fong Xiaoxia. Ask Fong Xiaoxia to explain to me in the president's office. Otherwise, I'll ask her to get out of here with you." After saying that, Bu Fifan hung up the phone directly. His imposing manner was definitely not ordinary. Su Yun and Ruan Qingshuang both widened their eyes. This guy was really young but had a big temper. When he did things, he was so decisive that he could definitely beat anyone of his age. Moreover, his temper was really similar to Su Yun's. Su Yun didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "Little brother Bu, you're really amazing. You have the same temper as my dad." After Guagua finished speaking, she glanced at Su Yun. "If you're willing, I'm willing to share my dad with you. This way, we can both call him Daddy. Haha, anyway we have similar temperaments." Guagua's unintentional words made Bu Fifan's heart stir a little. However, for the sake of his face, he still shook his head. "Old Su is only a dozen years older than me. I don't want to. Go. Absolutely not. Your dad is still your dad. No matter what, I'm still your brother. You can rest assured about that." Before they finished speaking, the housekeeping manager, Fong Xiaoxia, hurried to the CEO's office. She knocked on the door twice and directly pushed it open to enter. Seeing that Bu Fifan was indeed in the room, this 40-year-old woman who had seen all kinds of things actually felt a little restrained. "Little Bu, you're here." "Haha, I was busy with the documents just now so." "Manager Fong, you just started work and you're already so busy." Bu Fifan directly interrupted Fong Xiaoxia. "Also, don't call me Little Bu. When Auntie was here, you could call me that. But now, just call me CEO Bu. You should know very well why I asked you to come here, right? CEO Bu." When Fong Xiaoxia first met Bu Fifan last year, she already knew that this guy was difficult to deal with. Now, she really encountered a problem. "Listen to me. Just now, Bu Fifan didn't wait for Fong Xiaoxia to finish speaking and interrupted her every time. He didn't give her any face at all. "Don't explain to me. If you want to explain to CEO Ruan. Since you're so busy, how can you come here in such a timely manner? Do you think your business is more important than CEO Ruan's?" Fong Xiaoxia was speechless. She could only obediently shut up. Nowadays, each kid was more shrewd than the other and more difficult to deal with than the adults. She didn't mean to embarrass Ruan Qingshuang on purpose. It was just that all the middle-level managers knew that the new CEO had a good temper and was easy to negotiate with. So, she didn't care about what Ruan Qingshuang wanted to do on the phone. CEO Ruan, I'm sorry. I was really busy just now. Feng Xiaoxia could only pin her hope on Ruan Qingshuang. I also delayed your business because of the hotel work. Please don't take it to heart. If you have any orders now, I'll do it right away. Ruan Qingshuang didn't mean to blame Feng Xiaoxia. She just smiled slightly. Just when she was about to say that it was okay, she was interrupted by Guagua. It seems that you all know my mother's temper. You think that my mother is easy to talk to no matter what. Guagua said seriously like a little adult, Brother Boo, I think it's necessary to kill the chicken to warn the monkeys. Let others know that my mother is not easy to bully. Feng Xiaoxia stared at Guagua, a little girl. She really wanted to ask whose family this child was. How could she speak so harshly? What did she mean by killing the chicken to warn the monkeys? Wasn't she calling her a chicken to her face? Not to mention that she was young, even if Ruan Qingshuang said that to her, she would be angry. Isn't this child a bit too much? How can she be so rude at such a young age? Feng Xiaoxia pulled a long face and said with an unhappy look. Finally, Su Yun couldn't help but say, Manager Feng, this is my daughter. She's young and a bit naughty. Don't mind her. It's just that I feel that what she said just now is quite reasonable. It's time to kill the chicken to warn the monkeys. Feng Xiaoxia was very clear about what kind of person Su Yun was. Now that she heard Su Yun say that, her whole face changed. She stared with wide eyes, wanting to know what Su Yun was going to do. After all, he dared to fire Gong Shuiyan from the finance department, let alone her. She might really become the second Gong Shuiyan. Director Su, perhaps I've neglected my duty at work, but you can't fire me because I didn't arrange a room for you in time. This is unreasonable. Feng Xiaoxia said, using this kind of reason to fire employees is too hegemonic. What will the other employees think? Have you considered it? Su Yun nodded. Manager Feng's words are very reasonable. However, I'm not talking about this matter. I want to ask Manager Feng why there are so many women coming in and out of our hotel rooms at night. I'm wondering if there's a mommy in our hotel who takes the lead in collecting introduction fees for them. Chapter 604. As the housekeeping manager of Xinkai Hotel, although she also had an annual salary of more than 200,000 benefits, it was definitely not enough to support Feng Xiaoxia's spending power. Whether it was LV or Gucci, as long as there was a new luxury product, Feng Xiaoxia, who had lost her youth and could only rely on external materials to increase her popularity, would buy it. She drove an Audi TT sports car worth hundreds of thousands of yuan, drove a limited edition Louis Vuitton Classic, wore the latest Versace, and wore Bulgari Collector's Edition jewelry. All of these were things that a person with an annual salary of 200,000 yuan could not afford. If one did not have an annual income of a few million, no one would be able to support such a huge consumption. But Feng Xiaoxia could afford to drive, wear, and use them. Her husband was just an ordinary small section chief of a public institution. Perhaps in the past, he could accept a few supermarket shopping cards worth a few thousand every year. Now that the country's anti-corruption laws were so strict, he probably did not even dare to accept a packet of tea leaves. It could be said that Feng Xiaoxia was their family's main source of income, and Feng Xiaoxia's main income did not rely on a simple annual salary of 200,000. If that was the case, it would definitely be impossible to become a wealthy family in Shenzhen. A considerable amount of her income relied on those peripheral girls. Feng Xiaoxia was the housekeeping manager of Xinkai Hotel. Those who entered Xinkai Hotel were all rich people. The poor definitely could not afford to stay in a room that cost a few thousand per night. These rich people did not come out just to stay, but also for their physiological needs. Now, Hua Xia had a considerable number of peripheral girls. They all had the title of model, but they had nothing to do. These people became the target of the rich people, but there was no place to find them. Feng Xiaoxia provided them with the convenience of supply and demand. A considerable number of peripheral girls recognized Feng Xiaoxia as their godsister and hoped that she would introduce guests to them. A considerable part of the reason why these guests came to Xingkai Hotel to stay was to let Feng Xiaoxia connect them with sources of goods. Therefore, over time, Feng Xiaoxia used Xingkai Hotel as a cover and became the mother of those peripheral girls. Those peripheral girls at most went to car shows and game events during the day. At night, they would basically report to Feng Xiaoxia, and Feng Xiaoxia would arrange them according to the guests' requirements. The peripheral girls' fees were very high. It was normal for them to charge 10 to 20,000. Some high-quality ones could even charge 20 to 30,000 because they were different from chickens. They had the halo of models above their heads. Therefore, rich people were willing to pay for them. Feng Xiaoxia's way of managing these peripheral women was also very simple. They would be on call at any time, and would give her regular gynecological examination reports. Every time Feng Xiaoxia introduced her to these female guests, no matter how much the guests offered, these female guests would have to give Feng Xiaoxia 10% as the introduction fee. Feng Xiaoxia definitely wouldn't give less to these peripheral girls because Feng Xiaoxia had too many resources in her hands, and none of the peripheral girls were willing to lose her protection. If there were a lot of customers, there would be many bosses who needed her help to contact the peripheral women. Feng Xiaoxia could call over more than a dozen peripheral women at the same time. In this way, Feng Xiaoxia could get tens of thousands of referral fees in one night. This was why Feng Xiaoxia was so rich. Feng Xiaoxia was very clear that once she left such a high-class place like Xingkai Hotel, those prostitutes would abandon her without hesitation. After all, Shenzhen was such a big city, there were many high-class hotels. By then, she would no longer have so much hidden income. The reason was very simple. Feng Xiaoxia absolutely couldn't leave Xingkai Hotel. Xingkai Hotel was her money tree. Now that Su Yun suddenly mentioned this point, Feng Xiaoxia's mind suddenly went blank. There shouldn't be such a thing. When she said this sentence, Feng Xiaoxia didn't have much self-confidence. That feeling of fear made her very uncomfortable, because the so-called mommy that Su Yun was talking about was herself. Manager Feng. Now the whole world knows about the third-level anti-prostitution earthquake in Dongguan. Many experienced workers ran to the big city to fight with the peripheral women for a living. Su Yun, of course, I'm just guessing. It's better if there isn't such a thing, but if there is, I think this matter should be investigated more or less. Feng Xiaoxia's eyes were in a trance. She said, President Su, actually, even if such a thing happened, it wouldn't be bad for the hotel. It would also drive the hotel's guest room department's profit. This kind of thing doesn't need to be investigated, right? Maybe other hotels have this kind of thing. If only our hotel put an end to this phenomenon, we might lose a lot of customers. Su Yun shrugged his shoulders. That's the reason, but I don't want our hotel to be a part of society's unhealthy practices. Dongguan has already cracked down on prostitution. Do you think it's still far away from nationwide? Shenzhen is such an important metropolis in Huaxia. I believe it will definitely be a model for the whole country. If Xingkai Hotel was closed down because of a few peripheral women, it would be a shame for all the employees in the hotel. Feng Xiaoxia nodded repeatedly. Yes, I will definitely pay attention to such behavior and try to put an end to it. I think it's better to forget about it. Bu Fifan suddenly said, since such a phenomenon exists, it means that Manager Feng didn't supervise well. Also, as the manager of the guest room department, you are the most suspicious. How about this, you go home and rest for a while. If we confirm that this matter has nothing to do with you, it won't be too late for you to come back. You can go to the finance office to settle your salary. Although Bu Fifan was young, he was very decisive. After all, Feng Xiaoxia was a middle-level manager who was in charge of the hotel's large guest room department. He didn't hesitate to fire her. Feng Xiaoxia felt as if her brain had been struck by lightning. She had never thought that she would be fired by a young boy. Su Yun smiled. Bu Fifan's personality was too similar to his. Just like when he fired Gong Shuiyan from the finance department yesterday, he did it without hesitation. The only difference between Bu Fifan and Su Yun was that the way he fired Feng Xiaoxia was more tactful. He didn't directly fire her. Guagua clapped her hands and applauded Bu Fifan's decision. Who asked this old woman to make things difficult for her mother? It was better to fire her. At least there would be one less thorn in Guagua's side. Ruan Qingshuang was perhaps the only person who didn't agree with this decision. Ever since Su Yun returned to Shenzhen, he fired the manager of the finance department yesterday and the manager of the guest room department today. The speed of the layoffs was too fast. Moreover, they were all middle-level managers of important departments. She was worried that it would affect the hotel's operations. Feng Xiaoxia didn't say anything. She knew very well that it was useless to say more. Since the other party had already said so, she couldn't find any reason to force them to stay. Even if she could stay today, she would be fired sooner or later. She might as well take advantage of this time to find the next boss. She might even be able to use it. Soon, the guest room department's customer service arranged a room for them to rest. Ruan Qingshuang couldn't lift her spirits. Aren't you afraid that Xinkai Hotel's operations will be affected? Old Su said that no one on earth is the same. Bu Fifan said, it's because they were heartless in the first place. That's why we're not righteous. Aunt Shuang, you mustn't feel burdened. That's right. Guagua also added fuel to the fire. Mom, even I can see that those people are polite to you on the surface, but they're making things difficult for you behind your back. If we don't fire them, it'll be hard to relieve the hatred in my heart. Whenever I think of these people bullying you, I feel unhappy. Ruan Qingshuang looked at the two children and then looked at Su Yun. Su Yun, the children are immature. You should understand that if we do this now, it will definitely affect their work mood. I'm worried that the other middle-level managers in the hotel will have a knot in their hearts because of our decision in the past 2 days. Su Yun smiled slightly. Don't worry. They won't have so many problems. Knot in their hearts? Su Yun wanted to make them have a knot in their hearts. If they didn't have a knot in their hearts, wouldn't Su Yun's efforts be in vain? Now that the managers of the finance and guest room departments had been dealt with, the people in the other departments might finally be unable to sit still. When everyone went to their respective rooms to tidy up, Cho Yun began to supervise Guagua to finish her summer homework. Bu Fifan also turned on his computer immediately. Su Yun originally thought that this guy was going to play games and wanted to teach him what it meant to lose one's ambition to play games. Unexpectedly, Bu Fifan didn't play games. Instead, he opened a web page and began to search for some basic knowledge about hotel management. Seeing this scene, Su Yun instantly felt very gratified. Bu Fifan's ambition was obvious to all. At least he didn't give up on himself and play games. Times were progressive. Every few years, a group of outstanding young people would emerge and laugh at the underworld. Su Yun hoped that in the future society, Bu Fifan could gain a foothold with his own strength, so that their fate wouldn't be in vain. When Ruan Qingshuang and Su Yun returned to the office, they found that almost all the middle-level managers of the departments were waiting at the door. For this scene, Su Yun had already been mentally prepared. He knew very well what these guys wanted to do. It seemed that the big movements in the past 2 days had made them unable to sit still. Yesterday, Gong Shuian's dismissal had already aroused the speculation of the managers of the departments. Today, Feng Xiaoxia was persuaded to resign. How could they sit still? Seeing Ruan Qingshuang and Su Yun appear, the manager of the administrative office, Go Qingjun, was the first to stand up. Mr. Ruan, Mr. Su, we have something to talk to you. I don't know if you have time. If you have time, I hope we can sit down and talk about it slowly. Seeing so many people, Ruan Qingshuang was somewhat at a loss. She knew that the continuous dismissal of Gong Shuian and Feng Xiaoxia would arouse the dissatisfaction of the middle-level managers of the departments. It had the effect of punishing the chicken to warn the monkey, but what if they collectively jumped ship and forced her to abdicate? At that time, Xinkai Hotel would be in a mess. Su Yun was still calm. He smiled and said, "Of course. Everyone has been waiting outside for a long time. Come in and talk." Chapter 605. Su Yun gestured for Ruan Qingxuang to sit in front of the desk. He stood behind her, giving her endless strength and support. Go Qingjuan's face was livid as he said to Ruan Qingxuang, "Ms. Ruan, I hope that you will think carefully before making any decision. Don't do anything irrational and impulsive. Ever since Ms. Yi took over Xinkai Hotel, our team has been working together for a long time. We are familiar with everyone's behavior and we are used to working with each other. Now that you have made such a big change in personnel without asking for our feelings, how do you expect us to continue working for Xinkai?" As soon as Go Qingjuan's voice fell, Gu Yu from the Human Resources Department also spoke up. These two people were probably the best at arguing. "Manager Go is right, Ms. Ruan. We are a team. Of course, we hope that you will consider our feelings before making any decision. For example, it's really hard for us to accept that you fired Manager Fong and Manager Gong. What does it have to do with you that I fired them?" Ruan Qingxuang could still force herself to be calm. "You just need to do your job well. Manager Gong was fired because she falsified the company's accounts and used the company's money for financial investments to fill her own pockets. Xinkai can't keep such a person. Manager Fong was fired because I suspected that she used her position to organize mistresses to do some improper business with the hotel's guests. Xinkai Hotel is a legal place. I don't want such filthy things to happen in our hotel." Yao Shanshan, the marketing and sales manager, said helplessly, "Ms. Ruan, do you know what era it is now? It's normal for such things to happen in this era. Everyone wants to make money, but Manager Gong's method was wrong. But she didn't take a single cent of the company's money. As a financial director, it's already very good that she did this. Many financial directors now use their position to embezzle the company's funds. Compared to them, Manager Gong has done a good job. Also, it's not a big deal that Manager Fong is organizing prostitutes. Now, all the big and small hotels have these things and services. Manager Fong is also helping the hotel to stabilize the customer base. This is also beneficial to the hotel, and it's also helping everyone earn more money. What's wrong with that?" Yao Shanshan was indeed in the marketing business. She was so eloquent that Ruan Qingxuang was stunned. She didn't know how to refute her. As a last resort, Ruan Qingxuang can only look at Su Yun, hoping that Su Yun can stand up to help her out. She really can't talk to these people. Those who can mix in society to this point are eloquent. Su Yun smiled faintly. "Manager Yao, from what you're saying, as long as you can achieve your goal, you can do whatever it takes, right? If you want to promote the hotel's marketing, will you also do something against your will?" Yao Shanshan replied without hesitation, "Of course. Mr. Su, you haven't done marketing PR before. You don't understand our hard work. Of course, everyone is working hard for the performance. Our efforts are proportional to the hotel's benefits. We are also doing it for the performance so that we can get a higher salary. It's inevitable that we do things that are out of line." Su Yun nodded. "That's right. Manager Yao, you can't avoid using some physical help. I believe you can understand prostitutes the most. But what I want to tell you is that Mr. Ruan can't tolerate sand in his eyes. Shenzhen is so big, and there will never be a shortage of customers. We can use our services and our advanced facilities to stand out among the many hotels. We don't have to use these improper methods to increase the hotel's occupancy rate. If the hotel relies on prostitutes to solve the problem of benefits, then how are we different from those places in Dongguan that sell dog meat under sheep's head?" After a pause, Su Yun continued, "The survival of the hotel is definitely not about having special services. If you don't even understand this, how did you get to be the marketing PR manager? Maybe Mr. Yi didn't discipline you before, but it's different now. If you want to work in Xinkai, you have to correct your attitude." Yao Shanshan was scolded by Su Yun to her face. She was so angry that she could not say a word. She dared to be angry but did not dare to say anything. She was the youngest among all the department heads. She did not want to be the first to speak. What right did Su Yun have to grab her and scold her? This was bullying. "Mr. Su, maybe you're right. But society needs to be diversified now. Food and beverage manager Lu Minghua said, "If it weren't for Manager Yao's marketing and the prostitutes under Manager Fong, the hotel's income would be reduced. So I definitely don't object to some of their practices. This is all for the benefit of the hotel." "Manager Lu, what you said is interesting," Su Yun said. "Does a hotel's food and beverage culture rely on improper things to maintain? Then don't blame me for saying this. There are so many big hotels in Shenzhen. Every hotel's dishes are the same. They're all so-called high-end dishes, but none of them are truly unique. Have you ever thought about what's unique about Huaxia? Is it true that only Western food, French food, and Japanese food are considered high-end?" Lu Minghua regretted that he shouldn't have hit the muzzle of the gun. He didn't know how to answer Su Yun's words. That's the trend now. Other hotels are doing the same. If we insist on being unique, it's very likely that we'll fail. If you're afraid of failure, you'll never succeed, Su Yun said, and the reason you don't innovate isn't because you're afraid of failure. It's because you don't put your heart into thinking about what kind of things can satisfy people's consumption concepts and appetites. This is a complete dereliction of duty as a food and beverage manager. What else did Lu Minghua dare to say? As soon as he opened his mouth, he was silenced. If he continued to speak, he would probably be fired. Their backbone was Go Qingjun. It seemed that they could only follow Go Qingjun's way. If they wanted to live a good life in the future, they had to give it their all now. "Manager Su, since you say that everyone is worthless, then why was Manager Yi able to lead us and make Shinkai stronger back then? Why did we have to change for you after you came?" Go Qingjun said, "If that's what you think, then I can only apologize. We really can't continue to serve your whimsical ideas. If possible, you can find someone else. We really can't continue to work with you in Shinkai." After Go Qingjun said this, no one said anything. They all looked firmly at Ruan Qingshuang. Of course, Su Yun knew that this was a scheme of these old and young foxes. They wanted to use this method to scare Ruan Qingshuang. They wanted to let Ruan Qingshuang know that Shinkai really couldn't continue to operate without them. "Manager Go, how can you do this? If everyone leaves Shinkai, what will happen to Shinkai? Will it close down?" Ruan Qingshuang was a little anxious. After all, she couldn't be as calm as Su Yun. "Everyone, calm down. If there's anything you want to say, let's talk it out. Don't let your emotions affect your decisions." Hearing Ruan Qingshuang's anxious tone, a subtle smile appeared on everyone's faces. Especially Go Qingjun. He knew that this trick would definitely work. The operation of Shinkai Hotel was completely dependent on the middle management. Without them, everything would be concentrated on Ruan Qingshuang alone. She definitely wouldn't be able to handle it. Although Ruan Qingshuang finally relented, Su Yun didn't think so. He sneered, "You're saying that all of you should resign, right? Sure, I remember that it's clearly written in the contract that if you're fired, you can go and settle the day's salary. If you voluntarily leave, not only will you not get any money, but you can't hold the same position in the same area for 3 years. This is to protect Shinkai's interests. If anyone breaches the contract, I have the right to sue you." As soon as Su Yun said this, even Ruan Qingshuang was shocked. This wasn't a joke. Everyone was fired? Wouldn't that mean that Shinkai didn't have a middle management framework? It was impossible for them to only rely on themselves to manage the other employees. Could it be that Su Yun was crazy? Go Qingjun was so shocked that he couldn't close his mouth for a long time. He didn't expect that even this didn't scare Su Yun. He actually dared to say such a thing. Go Qingjun only said this to scare them. He definitely didn't have any intention of resigning. However, now that Su Yun didn't give him any face, he completely understood what it meant to be in a difficult position. Everyone's expectations were on Go Qingjun, but Go Qingjun was humiliated in front of Su Yun. What should he do? How could he smooth things over to ensure everyone's interests? At this time, the security department section chief, Pang Yong, saw that the situation wasn't right. He immediately stood up and said to Su Yun, "Mr. Su, I think what you said makes sense. Now, no matter how I think about it, what you said makes sense. We should be like you. Su-yun smiled slightly and glanced at this fence-sitter. He thought that when Dan Jiahao arrived, he would definitely arrange this fence-sitter to stand on guard for 8 hours and feel the cold wind blowing on his bones. Section Chief Peng, go do your work. There's nothing else for you to do here. Chapter 606. Su-yun smiled slightly and said, Manager Go, when Bossy praised you, she praised you for being upright and outspoken, for being capable, and for having a good character. Therefore, all the middle-level leaders of Shinkai Hotel admired you. That's why they let you be the manager of the administrative office, because you can communicate, coordinate, and cooperate with everyone. Hearing Su-yun's words, Go Qingjuan's face had a bit of a smile. He hurriedly nodded and said, Yes, yes. Boss Yi and I had a good relationship. She trusted me very much, and I did not let her down. As for the matters in the hotel, as long as she gave me the task, I would definitely complete the task very, very well. All the middle-level leaders of the hotel also admired me. Nowadays, there are not many administrative office managers who can do what you did. Su-yun praised, It's because Shinkai Hotel has you that it saved Boss Yi a lot of trouble. If Shinkai Hotel leaves you, I really don't know how to operate well. Manager Go, thank you very much. Fortunately, I have you. Go Qingjun was confused by Su-yun's words, but he had to nod and bow. No, you're welcome. Look at what you're saying. I can only say that I'm doing my best for Shinkai. After all, I'm doing this for a living. Besides, it's not as serious as you said. Shinkai Hotel can still operate without anyone. Su-yun nodded and gave Go Qingjun a thumbs up. Manager Go, I originally thought that you didn't understand this principle. It seems that you are very clear about this simple principle. Even if Shinkai Hotel leaves Yifala, it can still operate. Don't you think so? Yes. In the face of Su-yun's actions of giving a sweet date followed by a slap, Go Qingjun dared to be angry but did not dare to say anything. He was very clear about what Su-yun wanted to say. Perhaps there is a type of boss who wishes to have someone like you in his team, which can save him a lot of trouble. But perhaps there is another type of boss who doesn't wish to have someone like you in his team. This will threaten the boss's position. Su-yun said lightly, Yifala is the first type of boss because she has other more important things to do personally. Manager Go, what do you think Mr. Ruan and I are? The forced smile on Go Qingjuan's face had already disappeared. He didn't say anything else. If he did, it would only hurt his own pride. Ruan Qingshuang knew what Su-yun meant. Now, Ruan Qingshuang also understood Su-yun's real intention. He was not going to let these people have an easy time. Most of the time, Ruan Qingshui thought that kindness and benevolence could change most people, but now it seemed that this was not the case. Kindness and benevolence could only make some people worse. Only threats could make them submit obediently. Manager Go, I won't say anything more. I believe in your ability to work. You can continue to be the manager of the administrative office. Perhaps I will arrange an assistant for you tomorrow. I hope he can help you. Su-yun smiled slightly and told Go Qingjun with his eyes that this was the last chance he was giving him. Also, I hope you can tell Manager Gu in the Human Resources Department that I will arrange an assistant for all of them. This way they can work better together. Go Qingjuan's expression had just eased, but after hearing Su-yun's words, he became uneasy again. How was this arranging for an assistant? It was simply arranging for his own spies to be around them, and he even said it so openly. It seemed that his good days were completely over. If there is nothing else, you can leave. Su-yun finished and ordered him to leave. Go Qingjun stood up as if he had lost his soul. He turned and left the president's office in a daze. At this moment, his thoughts were completely messed up. Go Qingjun, who had always been confident in doing things, realized for the first time that he was nothing in front of such a young man. After Go Qingjun left, Ruan Qingshuang pulled Su Yun in surprise. Where are you going to find so many people to be their assistants? Even if you go to a job fair, you can't just let them come to work tomorrow. What should we do? Su Yun looked up at the ceiling and revealed a sinister smile. Do we still need to recruit? It's not like we haven't opened a hotel in Hadong before. We have so many brothers under us. Any one of them can replace their position. Moreover, they should be ready to go now. We will prepare in the afternoon and hold a welcoming party for them. Ruan Qingshuang exclaimed in surprise. Are you kidding me? You mean Chong and the others are coming? Yes, they are already on their way. Su Yun said, I can only let you continue to manage Xingkai Hotel without worry if they come. Otherwise, I won't even know that you've been bullied so badly by those old foxes in the workplace. Ruan Qingshuang blushed slightly. Actually, it's not that. It's normal for them to be a little uncomfortable with my sudden appearance. Maybe they will get better after some time. You don't have to make such a big fuss and call Chong and the others over, right? I didn't force them to come. They have always wanted me to bring them to the big cities to work. They also said many times that they want to go to Jibei. Now that I have thrown them to Shenzhen, wouldn't it be settled in one step? Su Yun said casually. Even a fierce dragon needs help. We have just arrived in Shenzhen and haven't settled down yet. There might be a lot of trouble ahead. It's just that it's almost Chinese New Year, and Yi Fala was caught at this juncture. Shenzhen's local bullies are all hibernating. Perhaps Ruan Qingshuang did not quite understand these words, but one thing was certain. If Su Yun could think of this, he knew that Shen River was not a peaceful place. Other than having to face Guagua, whether they could survive in Shenzhen was also a big challenge. There wasn't any trouble now, but it would be interesting when trouble really came. Why didn't you tell me in advance that they were coming over? Ruan Qingshuang shook her head helplessly. Then I will quickly arrange a place for them to stay. There's no need for that. They don't need to stay in a hotel. I will arrange it for them. Su Yun had other arrangements. They were here to work, not to enjoy. Now that Su Yun and the others had moved out of Yi Fala's villa, he couldn't let the house be empty. He would arrange for Chong and the others to stay there. This way, if Lung Chen sent someone to investigate, it would disrupt his vision. After the incident just now, the atmosphere in Xingkai Hotel seemed to have changed. The haze that had been hanging over Ruan Qingshuang's head was swept away. She felt energetic when doing things. No one dared to make things difficult for her behind her back. Naturally, everything she did was smooth sailing. All her orders could be passed smoothly, and all her requests could be carried out by her subordinates. This was the kind of result that Ruan Qingshuang wanted. What made Ruan Qingshuang even more comfortable was that everyone treated her with more respect. No wonder people liked the feeling of being a boss. The respect of the subordinates could indeed bring a considerable amount of vanity and satisfaction. Ruan Qingshuang could finally breathe a sigh of relief. Su Yun's strong return had taught everyone in Xingkai Hotel a severe lesson. The two middle-level managers who were fired now wanted to cry but had nowhere to cry. Starting from Go Qingjun, everyone obediently followed the prescribed order. No one wanted to be the next one to die under Su Yun's blade. Bu Fifan studied hotel management for an entire morning. However, it was only theory without practice. It was not scientific at all. He really wanted to experience it, but because of his face, he didn't know how to tell Ruan Qingshuang and Su Yun. However, Su Yun seemed to have seen through Bu Fifan's thoughts at a glance. Hotel management is a very profound subject. If you really want to understand those theoretical things, I'll give you a suggestion. Go to the administrative office and be Go Qingjuan's assistant. Let him teach you everything that should be learned in the administrative office. Me? Be his assistant? Bu Fifan said with disdain. After I go, it's more likely that he'll be my assistant. Excessive self-confidence is arrogance. Su Yun, Go Qingjun was able to gain your Auntie Ye's appreciation. He definitely has his own personal skills. I naturally have my own reasons for asking you to go there. After all, you're the owner of Xingkai Hotel. If you don't know every department of your hotel well, you'll be confused if problems pile up in front of you one day. Even if the hotel is sold by someone else, you'll still help them count the money. Bu Fifan realized the seriousness of the matter, so he didn't say anything else. He nodded and obediently followed Su Yun's instructions. Of course, Su Yun wouldn't just let a 13-year-old keep an eye on Go Qingjun. Go Qingjun was very cunning. When Chong and the others arrived, he would arrange for Chong to go to the administrative office as well. After all, he asked Chong and the others to come this time so that they could take over the middle management positions of Xingkai. Although Bu Fifan looked calm on the surface, he couldn't suppress the excitement in his heart. He immediately went to find Guagua to share the important task that Su Yun gave him. Guagua also did her homework the whole morning. Although it was child's play for her, she still had Cho Yun to watch over her. She didn't want to make Guagua sad, so she could only force herself to do it. Now that Bu Fifan was here, she could finally relax for a while. Naturally, she was very excited to play. When Su Yun announced that Chong and the others would come to Shenzhen in the afternoon, Guagua was even more excited. She hadn't seen them for a long time. She really missed them. Time passed quickly. After lunch and a simple rest, it was soon past 4 in the afternoon. Su Yun was just about to call Chong and ask where they were when his phone rang. It was Chong calling. It seemed that they had arrived. When Su Yun picked up the phone, Chong shouted anxiously, "Brother. We are at the entrance of Xingkai Hotel. I said that we are your brothers, but the security guard didn't let us in. He even said that we were **ting. Give the phone to him." Su Yun hadn't heard Chong's voice for a long time. He felt that it was very familiar. "I'll tell him. I'll see who dares to stop my brothers from entering our hotel." Chong swallowed a mouthful of saliva. Awesome. Brother Yun was indeed Brother Yun. It had only been a few days since they left Hadong for Shenzhen, and they had already built such a 5-star hotel. They were really left in the dust. Chong Zi threw the phone in his hand to the security captain, Pang Yong, at the door. "Big Brother Yun wants you to answer the phone." You're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.